What's up, horror fam?
You know what time it is.
Perfect. Let's get into this.
We're getting into it. We got a really cool thing going on tonight. If you follow Ryan on Facebook or the Horror Chronicles, you probably know because he put up a little video today on his way over here. He was riding the storm out.
Yeah, it's blasting some Mario.
Storm out. We got a very cool guest in the studio with us tonight. Well, not really in our studio. He's in his own studio, but we're doing this via technology.
He's here. He's here.
We got Dave, Dr. Shock Becker on the line.
What's up, man?
What's up, Dave?
Hey,
now
he's there. How about that? There we go. Yeah, you guys pause for me for a second.
You're good, buddy. You're good. That's the blessings.
Hold on, I'm going to kick my son off the Wi-Fi.
Hey,
no, ours is dragging a little bit too.
All right.
That's the good thing about
technology. You guys got a storm going there, you said? Or?
Yeah, there's an ice storm that coming through. I mean, it's not too horrible right now.
We've got about, I don't know, half to 3/4 of an inch of sleet on the ground right now.
Oh man!
They're saying I think we're supposed to get like 3 to 5 inches of snow on top of that. So,
yeah.
Who knows? Either way, I still got to get up and go to work.
Yeah, right. Yeah, me too. That doesn't stop that. And then, when you're a kid, you can get out of school. That's about it. But
yeah.
Oh, don't even tell me.
It's too bad.
Yeah, my wife's a school teacher, so she's like, I don't have to go to school tomorrow.
I knew yesterday. I took my kids to school yesterday, and I seen the weather. I'm like, we're not going to have school for the rest of the dang week.
Yeah.
And sure enough.
Yeah.
Sure enough. But anyways,
yeah.
As we said, we got Dave Becker in the house. Dave, why don't you introduce yourself? They know who you are, but let them know all the great podcasts and things you're involved with. That way they can search you up.
All right. Well, thank you. Yeah, I'm. I have my blog at DVD Infatuation. That's what started the whole thing. As far as podcasts, though, the two longest have been Land of the Creeps, of course, with Greg and Bill and Pearl. Sean Haddonfield Hatchet joins every now and again. And then it's funny because I joined Land of the Creeps first, and then it was just about a month later I joined Horror Movie Podcast.
Awesome.
Nice.
So I've been doing both of them just about the same amount of time. I started them both in 2013.
Wow. Old school.
It's been a while. Since then, it's another couple. I have my podcast, DVD Infatuation, which is hosted by Jay the Dead over in his Considering the Cinema site, and he does everything. He edits, does everything for me because
nice.
I wouldn't know how to do that. I don't know. How to do it.
Me neither. That's why I got him.
Jay was on me for years saying, "Oh, Dave, you got to do a podcast." I go, "Yeah, it sounds like a good idea." And he goes, "It's not too long to edit. It only takes about 7-8 hours." I go, who the hell has 7-8 hours?
What the hell is he doing wrong?
Yeah, I can't do that.
I'm going to tell you, Dave. My editing is mere minutes.
Yeah, put the song at the beginning, put the song at the end, and that's that, right?
Yeah, we really,
we really don't cut anything out.
We don't like to cut anything out. We like to be as legit as you're going to get,
Al natural.
That's awesome.
Sometimes it gets us in trouble, and sometimes it don't.
Now, there are times that, obligatory statement will come out, and it'll be like, we need to tag that.
Yeah, I think that's happened. I think that's probably only happened legitimately, twice in the freaking...
Yeah, and it's usually because I say something stupid that that we don't need to be associated with.
Yeah.
Oh, we've had our share of them. Share of them. Although there was one time where we didn't. What was that movie we did? Frenzy, which was a shark movie, and it was a couple years ago during our Shark Week, and it was this god-awful shark movie, which is all they're making anymore, or just bad shark movies, unfortunately. And we just trashed this thing. And then it comes to find out that Josh this is over in HMP. Josh was working with the guy who repped the actress. Who we had just trashed. So it was a little uncomfortable there.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, it's always fun.
Yeah.
I tell people. Go ahead.
I'm just going to say one more podcast I forgot to mention is the Illustrated Fan over on Phantom Galaxy.
Yes.
With Nathan Bartabal, where we're talking animated movies.
Yes.
Which has been a lot of fun.
Awesome. Yeah, it's been awesome, man. Really get to meet everybody and stuff, and like I've been joining in on a lot of Land of the Creeps live shows they do on Facebook.
Oh, you saw you there the other day,
action,
huh?
Yeah, I'm over there. It's fun, man. It's a good time. You guys, our followers, you guys got to check them out if you haven't yet.
Yeah, definitely.
You've heard us mention them a million times on the podcast. They're great guys.
All the guys are great. Dave
and Pearl too.
Of course, Bill Van Vagel, Greg Morgan, Rick Mortis.
They're great. Great, yeah, and they got a great community on that Facebook community.
They do.
Incredible. It's great.
Their Facebook group is insane. I mean, there's always something going on over there.
Yeah, that's what I'm working on.
I wish Ryan would be that way with ours.
I'm trying to get there. I'm getting there, guys. I'm getting there. I promise.
It takes time. It's been there. Like I said, the Land of the Creeps has been around since it's been. And I didn't start with episode 1. I think they'd already had maybe about a year under their belt before I joined. So it was probably back to 2012 that it's been going. So it's been around for a long time. So it's had a chance to build.
Yeah.
That's just all it takes is time. Just takes time to build it up.
They've got a great fan base over there.
And for me, I got to where I'm only working 3 days a week now, so I could put more time into
lazy
into being all this.
Get your ass to work.
I'm planning on it. But so anyways, great to have you on tonight, Dave. I've been excited.
Great to be here. I've listened to you guys. I haven't missed an episode yet, and just enjoying hearing you guys go back and forth, and just I love the open format. Just whatever we decide to talk about,
All this blabbing we've been doing. Oh, by the way, Dave, welcome to the show.
Yeah.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yeah. Sometimes we forget. We've been talking to him so much, like even beforehand, you're like, I forget to even, which is fine, really, to be honest with you.
Man.
But no, so we don't really have too big of an agenda, like you said. We just kind of like talk. Now I know that we are going to be talking about, and I kind of heard a little bit what you were saying the other night, so I kind of cut off while you were talking about the new TCM. I was like, I'll wait because I want to get
we're going to talk about that.
A little bit of that, and then a little bit of Scream because we both just now got to watch that.
Oh, awesome!
And other than that, we're just going to freaking roll with it. So JT, let's go ahead and just jump into the whole. Which one do you want to go with first?
Well, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. Let's talk about the new Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Okay,
you up for doing that?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know that you were a huge, huge fan of the original.
It's my all-time favorite horror film and my second favorite movie overall. Yeah.
What was the date on the original?
74.
74.
Yep.
So in the film, they talk, it's all about, they're telling you the story from 1973. So that's what really threw me off. In the new one, they start talking about 1973, and I kept sitting there thinking, man, I thought that came out in 74. I was like, well, maybe I was just thinking wrong. So right on. Okay, so 1974, Texas Chainsaw Massacre. If you haven't seen this film, folks, I mean, you're living under a rock.
The original?
Yeah, the original.
Yeah.
Fantastic film, a lot of gore, great story, very chaotic.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's what I love about it is you just can't predict where that movie is going to go. I mean, from the opening scene to the last scene, you're like, how the hell do you get from that to that?
Yeah.
How do you the ride in between it? I love that.
Absolutely. And we all know there was a remake. The remake was
2003.
Yeah.
I think it was 2003.
Look at that. Yeah. That's a guy.
This is why.
If you guys don't know, Dave Becker is the encyclopedia of knowledge. He has got so much stuff in his head. I don't know how he's kept his head from exploding.
You know what? It's funny because I remember all that sort of stuff with movies, and yet my wife's like, "Hey, did you pay that bill?" I'm like, "Oh, damn, yeah."
Me too. I'm exactly.
It's like I kick everything else out. Yeah. Just to keep room in there.
Yeah, you don't have room for that shit.
That's right.
What'd you have for breakfast?
I couldn't tell you. I could tell you what I watched today.
Absolutely.
So what was your thoughts on the new one that just
on the new one? So I kind of went into this with an open mind. It's funny. I kind of learned this from listening to you guys and talking to you guys and stuff. I now I was always a movie junkie. I was like, as soon as they release a trailer, I'm on that shit. I'm fucking reading everything on the internet, and I'm doing this and doing that. I've gotten myself to a point in my life where if there's something coming out and I'm excited about it, I avoid it like the plague.
Yeah.
Because I don't want anything spoiled. I want to go into it completely blind.
And I'm with you. I'm the same way. I try to avoid them. You go to the theater, they're going to show you trailers. I mean, what am I going to do? Cover up my ears? And, you know, I can't. I'm not going to miss them. But at home, yeah, I avoid them. I try not to see anything because I just don't want to. Because even if it's not, even if they don't spoil it, sometimes you're waiting for that scene to come up. You're like,
you're missing
the trailer. Where's that doing?
Right.
I thought maybe it'd be here, but I guess maybe we'll come back to it. Sometimes they'll throw a scene in the trailer. It's not even in the movie.
Oh yeah.
Yes. I hate when they do that.
Yep.
And then you're sitting there saying, "Hey, what happened to that?" That's one of the reasons I'm here. I like that scene in the trailer, and Well, so, I just avoid them.
Yeah, and some of these, you'll jump into them and they're like a 4 or 5 minute trailer. And by the time you get to the end of the trailer, you're like, God damn, I've already seen the whole fucking movie.
It was worse in the old days. It was worse in the old days because they didn't care about spoiling the movie. They just wanted to get your ass in the seat.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
That's all they cared about.
Absolutely. I like these little short teasers, just give me information and tell me it's coming.
One of the best trailers was for Cloverfield.
Yes.
You remember that?
Yes.
It just, and
you
it was
had no idea.
The very beginning, all you see is the head of the Statue of Liberty come flying and land in the street, and then it would come up with a date or something. It's showing a little bit of chaos, and that happens in the first 5 minutes of the movie.
Right.
Yeah, that was excellent.
Dude, that's so funny. You talk about that trailer. When I first saw that trailer, the first thing I thought of was Planet of the Apes.
Yeah,
when they see the
I
statue,
can see that. Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, what the hell is this?" But anyway, we're not here to talk about Cloverfield
we talk about whatever the fuck we want to. Well, let's get back into Texas.
But anyway, let's get back into Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So, if you guys haven't seen the movie, we'll try not to step on it too much here. But I want you guys to know that this movie is truly a direct sequel of the original film.
I think you guys, you locked up for a second there.
So did you. We got you back.
Okay. All right. There we go. Yeah.
So if you guys didn't hear that, this movie is truly a direct sequel of the original film.
Yes.
It's just 40 years later, I think, is what
was it
50, wasn't it?
Well, 50. It's 50 years later.
50 years later.
50 years later.
But I wasn't sure if they had, I guess they had to. But, you'd think, how old would Leatherface be in 50 years?
Yeah.
I mean, so there was some weirdness going on there.
There was. And they changed his backstory a little bit too.
Yeah. I'll give you my impression of it. I actually really dug the film.
Mm-hmm.
I think they could have done better with the acting. There was some character building shit that fell apart there.
Yeah, I absolutely, I actually really enjoyed the film.
I did too.
And my favorite part of the whole fucking movie, tons of gore, which is awesome. I mean, excellent. That very first kill scene when he breaks that guy's hand and shoves his bone to his...
Takes you by surprise.
I was just like that. Yeah, my wife was like, holy shit. I'm like, yes. Now, my favorite part of the whole movie is, because I hate cancel culture, my fucking favorite part of the whole movie is when that dude's sitting there and he gets on the bus and he's got the phone. He's like, try anything, bro. Try anything, you'll be canceled, bro.
Yeah.
And then he's like, I'm like, yes. And then he just commences on just slaughtering this whole entire bus full of people.
That was definite message there. Yeah, that was a definite message.
Absolutely.
I loved it. I mean,
I did too. It didn't make a lot of sense because you can't really cancel anonymous people.
Exactly.
That nobody knows. But I knew what they were going for. That's all that matters. You knew what they were doing.
I tell you what, I liked how with this movie, I love the gore. Like I said, lots of great kill scenes. I felt like it was rushed.
Yeah, I could see that a little bit.
I hate it the way that they did the main character. Well, not the main character from the original. Her comeback.
Yeah.
I hate the way that they did her character.
I mean, for me, what it looked like they did, and I mentioned this the other day. I think we recorded Jay the Dead's new horror. That's another podcast I forgot to mention. Jay the Dead's new horror movies that I'm part of. I said that it looks like they sat her down, the actress down, and said, "Okay, here's a picture of Jamie Lee Curtis from Halloween 2018. Make her look like that."
Yeah.
You know, and then because they're not even hiding that that's what they're doing. That Halloween 2018 got away with it. A sequel right after the original. They didn't even look at Halloween 2, just right after the original. That's what they're doing with this one. I liked that when they set it up. I thought, wow, that's really cool. Because Sally, spoiler alert here, was not there in the second one or any of the other ones.
Right.
Correct.
Like, the character didn't even exist anymore.
Yes.
Right. So to bring her back and to make her this sort of badass character, I just wish they actually took it somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's my point.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like they're like, oh, she's whole hard ass, and then she's an idiot.
Yeah.
I mean, so it turned out she was hard ass because what happened to her, how she survived.
Yeah, that I don't.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I was just like, how the hell did she remotely survive that?
Yeah.
Right.
Now, granted, it's a horror movie.
Yeah,
I understand, and that's how I looked at it. I was like, that's cool. It is what it is. Like, that's the only really part that I hated about it most was just how they did that character.
Well, and there were a few scenes on there where, so when I told my wife I was going to watch it, she was like, nah, I don't want anything to do with that. So she's like, I'm going to go to bed, and I'm sitting there watching it, and she comes walking out at some scene. I don't even remember the scene it was. But I'm watching it and I'm like, oh my God, that is like straight ripoff of Halloween 2018.
Yeah.
There were several things in there that they did that it was like, what are you doing? Are you just copying that? I mean, the scene was identical, and I was like, oh my God. Or are you paying homage to it? I mean, what the hell are you doing
I
here?
told in the live.
I'm not going to bitch about this movie because I really dug this.
I did too.
Yeah. In the live chat on the Land of the Creeds chat, I said, just think of it as a really great Tesla commercial. With the ending. So great. Just driving off by itself.
Yes.
I just
not quite fast enough.
Yeah.
But
that would have been a great Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah. But no, I thought it was great. I liked how they kind of placated to everyone, so to speak. So like I said, with the cancel culture thing that they did in there, they also had the female lead, strong characters, survivors of like a school shooting type thing. So they kind of put it all. It's like they put everything in there. It's like, look, just shut up and enjoy the movie.
Right.
And everybody gets something out of this.
Some people had a problem with the characters, saying they didn't like any single one of the characters. Now, I didn't go that way. I thought, once you find out what happened to the main girl, Lila, you cut her a little bit of slack.
Yeah.
And to be honest, there were some other characters. The one woman who helped them organize the event from the bank.
Yes.
Nothing wrong with her.
I actually like the guy, the asshole guy, so to speak, the contractor guy who was working it.
Oh yeah, it's because they all have changes. They go back and forth. Like you don't like them, then you like them, and then
it was funny at the gas station when they meet that guy the first time, and they're complete. I'm like, this motherfucker's going to pop up again, and then lo and behold, he's the fucking contractor they've been dealing with.
For some reason, and this might be again a minor spoiler because it doesn't happen though. I was thinking of Viggo Mortensen from Leatherface.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And I was wondering, is that the way they're going? Are they taking it in that direction, maybe?
I actually thought the same thing. I was like, I wonder if he's part of the family.
Right.
Right.
The only thing I didn't, and I'm just so bad about this. My wife was like, it's just a movie. But like for me, I'm like, so that guy's like a big 2A guy. He's got his guns. He knows what he's talking about with his guns. And then when I see him take off with a pistol and he like chambers it after he finds the guy that got killed, and he then runs into the house. I'm like, what an idiot. Why? And no one in their right mind who knows what they're doing would go in that place. Plus, he had an AR pistol that was sitting inside of his shed. I'm like, go get your AR pistol. If you're going to go up there, you need more rounds. In my head, I'm thinking all this stuff. Yeah. I'm like, why would you go in there? Chris is like, well, what'd you do, my wife? I'm like, I would get my guns and I would get on the bus. Because guess what? There's one way on the bus. There's one way on the bus.
That's true.
Then you just cover your door and when he comes in, end it.
Right.
That's my problem with it.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Which we'll get into on the next movie we'll talk about too. I got a lot of stuff to say about it.
Oh, yeah.
But anyways, with this one, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought the gore was amazing. Loved the kill scenes.
Oh yeah.
You know, that first one was probably one of my favorites though.
Oh yeah.
That was
And when you
incredible.
see Leatherface pop up out of the fucking field, have you seen?
I sent that to you.
Hey, Leatherface is over here taking a shit.
I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny though. The way they just popped his head out from the field, I was like,
it's like,
Yeah.
that's creepy as shit though.
yeah, and it's funny
Oh, yeah.
because that when I was talking about trailers and trying to avoid them, that was the only part of the trailer that I
Had
even
seen-
caught
yeah.
was that opening scene where the van drives into the fucking combine and then all of a sudden it
Yeah.
shows his head pop up out of the field.
Yeah.
You know, and once I saw that, I was like, well, I don't want to fucking watch this anymore.
And how awesome was it to have John Larroquette back
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
at the very beginning? I loved that. That
the
put me in the mood
narration.
right away. I'm like, oh yeah, this is going to be incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely dug it. I thought it was great. like I said, I like how they placated to everyone, and kind of is a movie that people could enjoy still. You know, no matter what side of whatever you're on. I actually
Mhm.
really liked it, and I liked how they did that.
You know,
I
and
did
it was
too.
funny. Everybody kept talking about the sheriff. Did you recognize the sheriff?
He was. I know. Oh God, from Aliens, right?
From Aliens.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
and it was funny because everybody was like, you know, I don't know what the hell this was doing. But I was like, everybody was like, oh yeah, did you recognize the sheriff? Did you recognize the sheriff? And I was like, yeah, I remember him from Aliens, but I don't really remember him doing much else. So I looked this guy up. Have you even looked him up?
I didn't know.
So if you get into his acting credits,
Right.
there's not a lot there. He was in Captain America, Aliens, the new Sherlock Holmes movie. But you get in here, look, Thomas and Friends Story Time, Thomas and Friends, The Sandman, Thomas and Friends, Marvelous Machinery. I'm like, this guy is a child, but he's a voiceover actor.
So was Dan
children.
Carlin. Dan Carlin played the conductor on Thomas and Friends.
George
Or George Carlin. My
George
bad.
Carlin.
George
George
Carlin.
Carlin. Yeah,
Yeah.
he did.
But I was
He
like,
did.
what the hell? You know, and the only thing I was like, oh yeah, I caught that he did Aliens and he's done some other stuff, but nothing really big, you know?
Isn't that something? He was probably glad this came around.
Yeah.
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 No kidding. But he played a good part. And I honestly, when they first showed him at the very beginning of the film, I thought he was going to be like,
You thought they were going in a certain
Embry
direction,
in
yeah.
the fucking remake, you know?
Yeah, you thought they were going in a certain direction with the character.
I really
Which was
did.
cool because they flipped it on you.
They did. They did.
You know?
Right then and there, they flipped it on you.
Yeah. So, and yeah, that's that's my thing with all movies. I'm like, all these people are stupid when it comes to firearms.
Yeah.
Every one of them.
Dude, the deputy. Come on. I know you just got
Yes.
stabbed in the throat with your own fucking forearm bone. Or
Well,
whatever,
before even
you
that.
know. But did you really have to fucking shoot the sheriff in the neck?
Well, before even that, he should have had his gun drawn. That guy's gonna freak out
Right.
or something.
Right.
And then whenever the vehicle wrecks, the girl's sitting there and she's like, "What do I do?" There's a cop with a gun sitting in his holster right there. Grab the gun.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
grab the gun. But it is what it is. I had the same
Right.
thing when I was talking about freaking Halloween Kills.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm like, what are these idiots?
Halloween
doing?
Kills was, I'm going to throw it out there. Halloween Kills was a great movie. It's
Yes,
a very fun
yes,
watch. But man, it is so full of holes. So full of.
Just like this
Yeah.
podcast.
You're right about that.
Oh
No,
shit.
Especially when you get to the end there. But it's the middle chapter. I mean, the
Yeah.
Halloween Kills is the middle chapter. It's the Empire Strikes Back of the three movies that they're doing.
Empire
you know.
Strikes Back was the greatest Star Wars film ever.
I don't disagree. It's my all-time favorite. It's my all-time favorite too.
Yeah.
You know.
But yeah, I think we've talked about that one enough. You know, I just wanted to talk about it.
I didn't want to spoil it for people. I just wanted to get,
And I will say, as someone who worked with a tree surgeon, that chainsaw, I wish we had that on the job. We could have taken those trees down in about 2 minutes.
yeah.
When it's going, there's a scene going through the floor, And I'm thinking, oh, it's okay. There's a beam. It'll give her a little time. Nope, that's butter.
Right through it.
That's exactly what I thought. I was like, holy crap, man. That chainsaw.
Did you guys happen to see my post on Facebook about Google why the chainsaw was invented? Dude, you should.
Wait.
If you Google that, it actually tells you. I don't remember the date, but it was initially invented to cut pelvic bones of women that were given birth.
Holy crap!
Oh Jesus!
Shove a chainsaw up in there.
Dude.
Holy cow!
Yeah, that's crazy. I was just.
I mean, they were much smaller.
Yeah, I was just
learning.
Were
like the corkscrew keychain thing. Corkscrew with a fucking chainsaw on it. Wait a minute.
But no,
I think anybody sees their gynecologist walking in with a chainsaw, they're going to panic.
Well, I was just listening to a podcast.
And you know it's bad when he's got the one that's on the fucking long pole.
Yeah. This is going to get bloody. No, I was watching a podcast or listening to a podcast, I had to say the other day, and they were talking about, just so happened, they were talking about procedures before they had anesthesia. How people were just wide awake whenever they were getting, surgery.
Yeah.
They're lopping people's arms off with freaking hacksaws and stuff, So I couldn't imagine back in them days,
No,
Oof.
No.
That'd be some rough stuff.
Like,
but
I'm guessing like that's like, I know Civil War field hospitals, they had to do that all the time.
Oh yeah.
Dude, they would lose so many people because they were just using the same bone saw, just next one and not even cleaning. Next one, blood. There's so much.
I think I read somewhere that there were more people had died of illness during the Civil War than actual battle.
Yep. It's crazy. Yeah. But no, all in all, I think the new Texas Chainsaw was great. I liked it a lot. Evidently, all three kind of come to agreement on that one. It was a good film. So
absolutely. And it's, again, as someone who loves the original, there were things about it that I really liked. It wasn't perfect, it was, I really wish they did more with the Sally character. They were building it up and building it up and building it up, and then it just fell right off.
That was one thing. That was one thing. That's my only.
I don't know. I really loved that chick getting her fucking head lopped off
at the end.
Yeah.
Oh,
dude. Hell yeah.
And then she's just driving away with the freaking in the top of the Tesla. Just
Yep. And once again, driving at the end of the movie, driving away screaming, but for a very different reason than in the first one.
And then he did the whole dance thing.
Doing the dance, right?
So
for a guy who must be in his 70s, he was moving pretty well.
Yeah,
he was.
And his mom didn't look that bad either for being 100-something.
Yeah.
You know what? I didn't know that there was the mother as much as she was the overseer of that.
Right.
Yes. I didn't take it that it was the mother, just sort of his caretaker.
Correct.
So what was that? Was that like an orphanage or just?
Yeah, that's what it was. But that changes the original.
It does.
See, and I'm wondering if maybe
in that picture, he's much younger.
I'm wondering if he maybe wasn't a child of like a, you know what I mean?
Of the family. Yes. It's possible. It's very possible he was not. But he was a child in that picture. Yeah. And maybe it's possible. Maybe they brought him in. You never know. They never really explain that family dynamic.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah, you're right. Well, and we say that a lot about movies all the time. The less you know, the more mysterious and creepy it is.
Yep.
That's why neither one of us are really big fans of the Rob Zombie Halloween.
Well, that was the thing about it I didn't like. I liked it, but I am with you. I don't like the backstory.
Once you got past that first 15, 20 minutes of the film, it's actually a decent movie.
Yeah.
But we didn't need that backstory on Michael Myers.
No. It's the same when they did the Black Christmas remake in 2006 or so, I think it was, or something. And they gave you all of Billy's backstory.
Yeah.
What made him creepy in that first movie is you didn't even know what this guy looked like.
Right.
You knew nothing about it. You was just a voice.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Exactly. So that being said, that's a perfect segue into the new one, the Scream. Right. Into the new Scream.
Yeah.
So this movie,
I don't even want to go here. You guys need to go before I even get started here.
Well, okay, Dave, you're the guest. What was your thoughts on the new Scream?
I admit, we did a podcast. I think we did the day we talked about it. I enjoyed it. I liked the movie. I liked that opening scene. I really like Jenna Ortega. This is the second horror movie. She was in that Babysitter sequel.
Yes.
Too. And I thought she was good in that. I think she could actually be a decent, like, new Scream queen.
Awesome.
With a few moves. So I liked that. And I like the tone of it too. I like that they brought the original characters back, but it wasn't their movie.
Right.
Correct.
You know, they were just sort of in the background. It wasn't their movie. They were part of it, but they weren't a major part of it. Yeah. Except for one, you know, was, I guess, had a bigger part to play than the others.
Yes.
So I like that mixture of, okay, they're paying homage to the original one without making it their movie and putting the other characters that we've been following already in the background.
Right.
Correct.
Right.
You know, so I like that too.
Yeah, because they could have easily done that. You know, especially once, you know, Dewey calls, you know, Sydney.
Yep.
They could have easily flipped that movie completely around and made it all about them again. And they didn't do that. And I really like that.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed the movie myself as well. Now, there's parts. Main thing I hate about this whole movie is the fact they killed Dewey off like that.
Yeah.
That really irritated the shit out of me. He was my favorite character, like, through all of them, actually. Besides Stu.
Yeah, or Stu.
Jamie Kennedy.
Right.
Yes. He was my all-time favorite, of course.
Yeah.
But I love Dewey, and the way they killed him off, I was like, there's my whole thing with the whole gun thing. And he's like, I got to shoot him in the head. Okay, he made a point. I have to shoot him in the head. Leaves, doesn't shoot him in the head.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what are you doing?
Right.
Come on, man.
Yeah.
Come on. So same thing, not to throw back, but same thing back in the Texas Chainsaw. She gets him in the room with the shotgun and just
stands there.
Doesn't do anything. Yeah. And it's like
you could tell she was planning this whole thing. It's like, you know, and she first, one thing I did have a question, just to go back to Texas Chainsaw. Who took that Polaroid? It wasn't a hitchhiker.
Yeah.
Because the hitchhiker's Polaroid, he burned it up.
That's right.
So and when in that picture, the girl is looking through the book with the horoscopes. She still got that horoscope book open. When they pick up the hitchhiker, they were all just staring at him saying, what's this guy going to do?
So that picture she's holding.
So who took that Polaroid?
Right.
Hmm.
Yeah, because in the original, they burnt that one up.
Right.
Huh.
Wow.
See, there you go. There's the little things that you that don't.
Those little Easter eggs that you.
Right.
But
now, that said, it was cool. I like that they had that picture.
Yeah.
To sort of go back to that van, and I thought it was still kind of cool. It's just, you know, it's like at the end of Reservoir Dogs. You know, who shot Nice Guy Eddie? But he fell over dead, and nobody could have actually shot him.
Love that movie.
You know. Yeah.
But with the new Scream, really liked it. I liked the storyline they were doing with it. I knew who the killers were right off the bat. Me and my wife.
There were a few people who did. A friend of mine from work said went with some friends and his two friends picked them out right away as to who they were. I got to say, I had my suspicions of one and then another, and it went back and forth to everybody.
Yeah.
So it was on all of them at one point. So I can't actually sit here and say I figured it out because I thought it might be everybody at some point.
I knew for sure that it was the girl.
Mm-hmm.
I knew for sure it was her.
Okay.
Yeah, my wife picked her out immediately.
Yeah.
She said there's something weird about that.
And so did I. And then my wife actually picked out that it was the boyfriend for sure. Because he just acted too stupid, like he didn't know things or whatever, you know.
Going on or right.
So, but I liked how I liked how they went with it. I didn't mind it at all. I thought it was really good. I love the kill scenes are great. There's pretty gory kill scenes.
Yeah,
too,
definitely, you know? With the stabbing. Yeah, I mean, even that opening. Yeah.
Yes, 100%. I like how they, they brought them all together, all the friends, and Dewey's in there they're all talking and all this stuff. And, again, the only thing I didn't like about this movie, man, was that they killed off Dewey. Like, that's not the only thing I didn't like.
You know, and some of the cool scenes, like, and I absolutely fucking loved it when the one girl, what was her name? Jesus. Jasmine. She played Mindy Meeks.
Oh, one of the twins.
She when she's on the couch and she's watching the movie, and she's like, "Turn around, you son of a bitch! He's right behind you!"
And then she stops,
and then the camera like pans around her, and all of a sudden you see Ghostface coming down the hall.
Mm-hmm. Well, no, he's standing there, and she's like, he's standing there for a minute watching her.
Well, yeah, you see him come down the hall, and he walks up right behind her, and he's just standing there.
And then she kind of is
shaking
like,
his head.
Wait a minute, and then she turns around, and that's what
there he is. Yeah.
Right there.
I don't know how the hell her brother lived. The twin, the other twin.
No, I was thinking the same thing.
Because she straight up got stabbed like 100 times.
Yeah. Although so did Jenna Ortega in the beginning. She got stabbed quite a few times too. When I thought,
very much. Yeah. But
in that hospital scene, like when he shows up at the hospital, I was like, I can't believe they fucking did that.
Yeah.
That's like fucking Halloween 2.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, I'm like, how? What?
Well, what's funny is my wife.
I was blown away that he actually showed up at the hospital.
And my wife's always like that too. She's like, hospitals are never like that. She's like, there are never that many. There's never no one there. There's
he had killed everybody.
He had killed. Well,
he killed the one cop or whatever.
Oh yeah, like the security guard.
The security guard, I guess.
Where were all the nurses and the,
Yeah, because my wife, she used to be a PCA. She worked in hospitals for a long time. She's like, hospitals are never like that. Like, well,
no, they aren't. Only in the movie. You know what it was? Everyone from that hospital was in Haddonfield chasing that guy.
Yeah. Because evil dies tonight.
Evil dies tonight.
Yeah, right.
That's classic. But no. So, what's your overall thoughts on the movie?
I loved it, but I loved it as a fanboy because it's really weird. I was so entrenched in late 70s horror and of course 80s slashers and when the 90s came around, it was hard for me to get into those Final Destination movies and those I Know What You Did Last Summers, and then and then all of a sudden Scream, and I'm like, what? I fell in love with the original film.
It was like a yes.
Oh, yeah.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen that movie. I mean, so I've got all 4 of them on Blu-ray in there, and I will sit and I will watch all 4 of them back to back. I just absolutely love those films. So when I heard, they've been talking about this film for 2 years.
Right. And
when I heard that they were going to do it, I was like doing cartwheels. You ever seen a fat guy do cartwheels? It's pretty fucking hysterical.
It's awesome.
Anyway, and then they just kept dragging it out. And I'm like, oh my God, they're going to fucking ruin this whole franchise. That I was so engrossed in, and they didn't. I honestly, I feel like with this film, they fucking nailed it.
Yep.
I loved everything about it.
I did too. And then that very last image for Wes.
Yes.
Comes up right at the end. You kind of like, because that's when remember, that's probably what was delaying it. They didn't have Wes Craven wasn't there to be driving it forward. Right. But because I think he looked at Scream sort of as his. He never wanted Nightmare on Elm Street to become a franchise.
Yeah,
right.
He looked at that as a one and done, and he didn't want to. That's why he didn't have anything to do with that.
After the first, until New Nightmare.
New Nightmare.
Until New Nightmare.
Back.
Yes. Yeah. But he didn't he didn't want them to make that a series. But Scream, I think, was a different. Obviously different altogether because I think he looked at that one with a little bit, not so much more affection. I know he really, First Nightmare on Elm Street that he did is a masterpiece. Yeah. But Scream was sort of his,
Scream was an homage to all horror. I mean, it really was. Yep. He threw everything in there but the kitchen sink,
Yeah, it's
meta, and I love how every single one of the new one they with that whole meta vibe that it keeps up to date.
Yeah.
In this one they're talking about what was it like the new horror. There's the Babadook and
and all
that other stuff.
Her
it keeps it
favorite
up
movie
to date.
was Babadook. which I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of. But
me either. That's why I said I'm like, boo. She said, I was like, boo.
Yeah. I didn't say boo. I was like, eh. Every time I think about the Babadook, I think about that irritating ass fucking kid.
Well, that's what it is. It's the kid. It's what it is. Now, if they took that kid and put it in with the little girl from Psycho Gourmet, that'd be a hell of a movie.
Now, I'll tell you what, though. Just speaking on Nightmare on Elm Street, I think that if they would have followed up part 1 with part 3, that he probably would have been happy with it. Westwood probably would have been okay with that. Because he
might have been. He just didn't even want it to be a franchise.
Yeah, but I mean,
to him, he's like, I didn't do it.
As bad as part 2 is.
Yeah.
I know I said this a million times. I love the Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
Mm-hmm.
But I cannot stand. I maybe watched part 2 maybe 3 times.
I'm not a big fan of it either.
And it's not because everyone's like,
it's not because of the
homosexuality stuff.
Yeah, it's not that for me either. He's not frightening when he's in the real world
at all. And
he's not a threat. Where the threat is with him is you must fall asleep. He's waiting for you. You bring him into the real world. Who cares? Run down the street. Go over. He's not the threat that he was.
And for me, the difference, I don't know why, but it goes the first one, and then the second one, and then to the third one. The acting, the filming, everything about the second one was just so under par compared to the first one and compared to the third one.
Because they didn't have his,
but look at part 3. Look how good part 3 is.
Part 3 is excellent. So for some people, it's their favorite of the franchise.
And a lot of people. Right. A lot of people. So look how good part 3 is. And then compare it to like part 2 and then part 1, which was before part 2. It's like they just said, here, let's try something with this.
It's almost like with The Exorcist. You got to go from The Exorcist to Exorcist 3. Yes. Get that middle chapter and just throw it in the trash. You don't even need it because it's not even connected other than Linda Blair is in the second one. That's it.
I always thought, I'm like, how did they go so bad with this one? Yeah. And then come back and like kick ass with the third one. I liked all of them after that, really, to be honest with you.
They all have something. Yeah, they all have something after that. I agree with you.
But I mean, it is what it is. I just thought the acting was horrible in the second one.
Okay, you guys want to go down a fucking rabbit hole here?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
We haven't ever done this. But let's talk about Wes Craven for a little bit. Wes Craven, first film he ever did.
Last House on the Left, right?
Last House on the Left.
Yep.
That fucking blows people's minds because if you've ever seen that movie, you think, what the fuck? The director for Nightmare on Elm Street did Last House on the Left. Last House on the Left is a great film.
Yeah.
It's very dated now when you try and watch it now.
I like the remake.
The remake is okay, but it doesn't.
I love the ending of the remake.
Oh, yeah. I'll give you that.
I love it.
Just that first film was so raw and gritty.
I worked with a woman, and she asked me, "What do you think is the scariest movie you've ever seen?" And I said, The Exorcist, because The Exorcist, when I was a kid, scared the living hell out of me. Just absolutely scared the living hell out of me. She said, I don't remember the title, but it's about these 2 girls that go into the city, and they meet up with these guys. They're trying to score drugs, and they meet up with these guys, and they end up kidnapping them, and they're right near the girls. I said, okay, I know it's Last House on the Left.
Yeah,
that's the one you're talking about. And she said that for her, for a lot of women, that's for
women.
Absolutely.
Movies,
for a lot of guys, it would be the original "I Spit on Your Grave." Nobody wants the bathtub.
At least the bathtub.
At least the bathtub scene. Yeah, exactly. And the remake on that too. That was fucking brutal. Whew.
I'll tell you what, the remake was. It was brutal. The remake of "I Spit on Your Grave" was brutal.
Yep.
And I think maybe even a little more satisfying when she starts taking her revenge.
Oh,
right.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Some of the stuff they did in that remake were just, like
when she taped his eyes open or whatever.
Yes.
Eyes open and tied him to the tree.
Oh, dude.
That was, and then with the cop with the gun. I mean, it was.
When she when she drives the fucking pipe up his fucking ass.
Yes.
The fucking sledgehammer. Oh, dude.
I'm telling you, I mean, it was intense.
And who was it? I think Butler was her last name.
I think it was.
God,
yeah.
What was Sarah Butler? Sarah Butler was the girl. She was the victim in that film.
Mm-hmm. Well, for a minute, then she fucking
for a minute.
Yeah.
Yeah, buddy.
Victim for a little bit, yeah.
See, that's why I love like the remake of a Last House on the Left when the father like starts enacting his revenge and shit, and then when he puts that dude's fucking head in the microwave and like rigs it up to where rigs it up to where it stay on. I'm like, that is fucking awesome.
Yeah,
right. That is pretty cool.
None greater though than one of my favorite movies. It's not really horror, but it's got one of the best for fucking revenge scenes ever, and that is Law Abiding Citizen with Gerard Butler.
I haven't seen that.
You haven't seen Law Abiding Citizen?
I have not seen Law Abiding. I might own it, but I haven't seen it.
You have got to watch that movie. Excellent film. Excellent film.
You know you're a movie geek when you own a movie and you haven't even watched it.
Yeah.
I've got several in there.
Well, I'm telling you right now, you will not be disappointed with that movie.
Okay, cool.
So I'm not going to talk about it then. If you haven't seen it yet, I'm going to let you watch it. But there's a revenge scene in there, which the whole movie is a revenge scene, which is killer, awesome. But the guy that actually does him wrong, man, that's exactly what I would do, except I would keep the person alive for a lot longer. But it's awesome. It's awesome. Cool. It's awesome. But
actually, another one I thought was really. Did you guys ever see Man on Fire with Denzel Washington?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
I love the scene under the bridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, that's
when he's like telling the guy what you have up in your, up your ass right now is a bomb, and you have this much time. Starts asking him questions, and then at the end of it, the guy's later is like, because he's a cop. He's like, I can help you. What do you want? What do you wish for? And then, what do I wish for? I wish you had more time. And he turns around and walks away.
Excellent.
Yeah,
I do. That's a go. But anyway, with Wes Craven, some of his movies, because I just was it wasn't too long ago. I realized I hadn't seen a lot of his, other than the main ones.
Right.
The main films. I hadn't seen a lot of the of his other movies. One of them I thought I hadn't seen that I did. I actually had seen it years ago. Was The People Under the Stairs.
Yeah. Oh God, I love that.
I've seen that one.
That's creepy.
That's a good one. And he did this. What is it? The Serpent and the Rainbow.
Yes.
Yep.
That's another really
Bill
creepy
Pullman.
movie.
Yep.
And that
Bill Pullman,
great movie.
That scene with going down in the can, going under, when they're putting him into the ground. It's really creepy.
Dude, the scene that fucked me up in that movie was when they fucking drove the nail through his testicle.
Oh God,
dude.
Yeah, anytime they do something like that.
Yeah, I was like, oh, yeah. But you talk about Craven. I mean, he's got. It's crazy because some of the movies, I mean, of course, we all know a lot of the big ones, but, some of the movies that, we just talked about Last House on the Left. He wrote The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah, The Hills Have Eyes and another one that had an awesome remake. I love the remake of The Hills Have Eyes.
Yeah.
I love that. That's one of the ones where I love the original and I love the remake. I thought both of them were really strong.
It was funny whenever we had Greg on. Oh, never mind. That was a different movie. That was a different movie. Never mind. But this Deadly Blessing.
Yeah, Deadly Blessing.
With Deadly Blessing. Oh, Jesus.
Ernest Borgnine is in that. It has Michael Berryman in that one. It's like set like in the Amish. I don't think they're the Amish. The Hittites or something like that. They call them community, almost like an Amish community. Yeah.
Sharon Stone was in that.
That's right. Young Sharon Stone. Right. That scene with the spider and
Lisa
Sharon
Hartman.
Stone, I think is what most people remember. The spider coming down. And,
Absolutely. But, and of course, we all know he did The Nightmare on Elm Street. Here's something that I didn't know until just a few minutes ago. Remember when they did the Freddy's Nightmares?
Yeah, TV show?
The TV show? Wes Craven played a character in several of those episodes.
Oh, wow.
See, I've been trying to go back and watch those.
I don't even remember, because those were on, late 80s, 88 to 90 is what that ran. But, yeah, he played a character in several of the shows.
I've been trying to get on YouTube and watch all those. Because you can find those, It's pretty cool.
Shocker. Shocker was a good one. Had Mitch Pileggi. Wasn't that what? Where he had been electrocuted and he came back. Was that the one that? Or am I thinking of Shocker? Wasn't that the one with Mitch Pileggi?
Like the
Yeah. Shocker had Mitch Pileggi from X-Files.
He's been in all kinds of stuff.
He played Horace Pinker, and he was a murderer, and they electrocuted him. Yes.
Wow.
That's kind of why I wanted to bring it up.
Okay.
But he was put to death in the electric chair. Well, his spirit comes back, and he's able to move through electricity.
I remember. Yep.
But the reason why I really wanted to talk about that is because Heather Langenkamp was in that.
Oh, okay.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Jessica Craven.
Jessica Craven.
There you go. Now, what's interesting is with the original Nightmare on Elm Street,
Ed Raimi,
the remake. You guys were talking about the remake not too long ago for the Nightmare on Elm Street, right?
Yes.
And it was the guy for the kid, Jackie Earle Haley. I'm going to say the kid from Think of the Bad News Bears.
I
always think of Jackie Earle Haley.
Yeah.
Who played Freddy in that? He was actually up for the role that Johnny Depp played in the original.
Wow.
Really?
Yes. Jackie Earle Haley and Johnny Depp went together. They were friends at the time, went together to the auditions for that.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And
That's
so
cool.
obviously Johnny Depp got it. It's very interesting because the two worst performances in the original, in my opinion anyway, the two worst performances in the original Nightmare on Elm Street are from people who eventually were nominated for Academy Awards. Johnny Depp was not that good in that movie. That's Johnny Depp at the very beginning of his career. He's not that good. And then Ronnie Blakely, who plays the mother, was just bizarre. Right. She's like bizarre to the level of that aunt in Sleepaway Camp. She's just batshit out there crazy.
Yep. Yeah, that's fucking funny.
Well, and then you Lynn Shay was in that too.
Yes.
Was it the first one? She comes out. She was a teacher. Wasn't she the teacher in the original one? Oh my God! Now you guys got me on that.
Oh, you're talking about the original?
Yeah. Yeah, that's what he was talking about, Johnny Depp.
Oh, well, he had mentioned the remake. We were talking about.
We had moved over to the remake. Well, sorry.
No.
He had mentioned at the beginning.
I had mentioned. I'm trying to look it up myself here because I don't.
Wasn't she like the teacher? She was only in it for like a
minute.
1984. I don't see it in her credits.
Mate.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. I'm an Elm Street teacher. Yes, there she is. Yeah.
She was the teacher, and she was the one that like is Heather Langenkamp was running down the hallway.
Yeah.
She pops out and she's got the sweater and the glove on.
Yes.
Yeah, that's okay.
And it's funny,
I would have never remembered her from this.
Well, and Lynn Shay is a big part of our horror stuff now because of
now
stuff
she
like,
is,
the Insidious series and Conjuring and different stuff.
Yes. Although whenever I see her, I think of Kingpin.
Oh,
yeah, that's exactly that scene.
It wasn't that bad.
I don't know what it is about sex that makes me shit.
Makes me gotta shit. Yeah.
Must be all that pump and dump.
Pump and dump. That fucking movie is so good. I quote it all the time. And then. What is it? I think one of my favorite lines, Woody Harrelson's trying to get Randy Quaid to be a bowler. He's like, and Randy Quaid's talking about something, and Woody Harrelson's like, I don't care about that. What I want to talk about is round, has 3 holes, and you put your finger in it. And I think Randy Quaid goes, you leave Mary Jane out of this. My favorite part of the whole movie is just Bill Murray, period. That movie.
Oh, yeah, Bill Murray.
When he's out there bowling, his hair's like,
yeah. Yep. Yep, I mean he is a bastard from the first scene to the last in that movie.
That so dude.
Well.
And he's done some great movies, but then he's done some weird, like, have you seen that Lost in Translation movie?
Yeah.
It was like, why is Bill Murray doing?
He can do because he can do whatever he wants.
I guess. I mean,
and he actually was nominated for an Academy Award for that.
Yeah.
He was, and I thought he was really good, and I can't remember who won it that year, but I thought Bill Murray was.
And I agree with you, but you're like, why is Bill Murray in a movie like this?
It's almost like he was playing Bill Murray in a way.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there you go.
He was playing himself.
But
Woody Harrelson again. Bill fucking Murray.
And I love the line in that when he's laying there. It's like, any regrets? I don't know. Maybe Garfield.
Yeah. Dude. Zombieland was such a great movie. It is such a great movie.
Yep. Absolutely.
It's funny. I did that down there we went to Halloween Horror Nights, Universal Horror Nights down there, Universal Studios. And that was when Zombieland 2 was just coming out. So they had a big, huge like scare zone set up out there. It's Universal, so it's huge.
Right.
So we were walking through it, and they had all kinds of stuff going on. There's zombies everywhere and stuff. And all of a sudden, I see walking out of the mist of the fog, this guy who's an actor, but he looks just like Bill Murray, and that's who he's supposed to be. He's supposed to be Bill Murray, and he's walking past. He's in a golf suit and everything, and he's walking past us like this with his hands like this. And I see him, and just as we're passing him, I'm like, Bill fucking Murray, and he turns around and he just goes. And then he walks off. I was like, fucking classic, man.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. That was a good time, man.
That's great.
But I don't know. Did we talk? I think maybe did we talk with you last time you were on about the remake of Nightmare on Elm Street?
I think was it. No, you talked recently, and I don't know that I was on. I don't was it.
No, but
we didn't do a whole episode on it.
No, we just mentioned it.
You were talking.
It comes up quite a bit for us.
Yeah.
Because I had recently just watched it, and I was like, man, I really, really, really loved everything about it except for Krueger. Yeah. And I mean, I don't really necessarily need the huge backstory on the other stuff.
Right.
However, like the acting was great.
I think Jackie Earle Haley was good as good. He just wasn't Robert Englund.
Yes,
right,
you're just never going to be able to
Robert Englund.
Yeah. Dude, my favorite of his was when he played Rorschach in Watchmen.
Oh yeah,
He was great at that part.
He certainly was.
But no, I actually really love the atmosphere of the movie.
Yeah.
The way that movie's filmed.
My problem with it is I went into that movie wanting to love it so much.
Yes. Yeah.
That I think I kind of overhyped myself, and then when I saw it, I was let down.
For me, I kind of went backwards. I went into it. I'm like, you're not gonna fucking be able to replace Robert Englund, man. This is gonna be stupid. Right. And then I started watching it, and I was like, well, shit. I kind of in my head, I'm like, I kind of like it.
You brought up one of the scenes that I always remember from that, and it's something that you could almost hear Robert Englund saying, and I don't know that he did, but that scene after the guy's dead and Freddy's with him, and he goes, "The brain is still alive for 7 minutes. We got 6 more minutes of fun."
Yeah, 6 more minutes.
That's cold. That's
then he tries to
That's almost as cold as a fucking bomb in your ass.
Yeah, right.
But then he tries to do that little laugh and facial thing that Krueger did.
Yeah.
And it just didn't come out right.
It didn't work. Yeah.
It didn't, but I could tell he was trying.
Yeah.
You know, I tried to watch the movie this time. I've seen it, probably 5 times since it came out. But I tried to watch it and was like, okay, let me see. Cause that was the one thing I didn't like about it. So I was like, let me focus on him and see if I can change my mind on it,
Right.
And there's a lot of things he did, that just didn't hit the way that Krueger would have done it, or that Englund would have done it, like with the whole no sleeping in class, or you shouldn't be sleeping in class. Like, Robert would have fucking.
Robert Englund has a way of delivering those.
Yes.
He had
the comedy one-liners,
Exactly.
And making it work. Yeah.
Even in Freddy vs. Jason, whenever he shows up, I can't remember which one. I think it's the girl. She shows up in her dream at the camp.
Mm-hmm.
And then dude's doing it on the porch with some chick, and it turns into Freddy, and he turns around, he's like, what? And she's all dead. He's like, what? It's not my fault. She's a stiff lay. Yeah. But the way he says it, it's like, Yeah, and that was so different for back then. That's why he was such a different character, was because it was Michael Myers, Jason, even in movies like The Burning, you get Cropsy. These guys never said a word.
Right.
Yeah.
They never talked. They never did anything. And now you got this guy cracking jokes
fucking running his mouth
all the time. It made it very different.
Yeah. And so think about that. In the first movie, you say cracking jokes. There were, but like,
not as many in the first one.
Whenever you get into the later movies, it's like, oh, motherfucker, come on.
See, I love it.
Yeah,
like Fred, okay, so one of my favorite in the whole series is Freddy's Dead.
Mm-hmm.
That's just for me. I'm a big like fight evil type of guy.
Mm-hmm.
So I love the fact that they're fighting evil with it. But that scene whenever he fucking Spencer's laying on the couch and Johnny Depp makes his appearance in the movie, he's like, "This is your brain." Cracks it, puts it in the pan. He's like, "This is your brain on drugs." Any questions? And fucking Kruger comes in, dink, smokes him in the face. And Iron Man, he's like, "Yeah, what are you on?" Looks like a frying pan and eggs to me. Then he's like, "Hey Spence, let's trip out."
Yeah.
I love that shit, man. That was the funniest shit ever.
So here, I got to tell a little story here. I grew up in the 70s and the 80s, and I found out that one of the shows I used to really love when I was a kid was the Hardy Boys and Nancy Drew.
Yes. Yeah.
And so I found
Stevenson and Sean Cassidy. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I found them on YouTube and I started watching through them. And all of a sudden I get to this episode where they're at a carnival. Okay. And they're trying to help this woman. Well, the woman they're trying to help is fucking Jamie Lee Curtis.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, what the fuck? That's fucking cool as shit.
Yeah, that's
And they're
awesome.
talking to her, and she was like, wait a minute, I don't remember his name. She's like, hey, Bobby, come here. Fucking Bobby turns around. It's fucking Robert Englund.
Wow.
I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
That
and I
is
looked at my
awesome.
wife, and I'm like, okay, that's fucking cool as shit, but I'm going to tell you one thing that makes it even cooler than that is that is not the first time they worked together.
Nope.
A lot of people don't know this. Robert Englund actually worked on the cast of Halloween 1978.
Really?
Yep.
Yeah.
He spread the leaves out.
He was hired to help them. He was one of the guys that would help. So they filmed that movie in Pasadena in the middle of the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So to make it look like fall, they had all these trash bags full of leaves, and they would spread these leaves out on the ground. Well, Robert Englund's job was to fucking pick these leaves up after the end of every set.
Really?
Yeah.
That's a shame because he was already an actor by that point.
Yeah.
Well, I think what happened with that is he came in and he was friends
with Carpenter.
with a Carpenter.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so.
Or Nick Castle, one of the two.
Oh, you're right. He was friends with Nick Castle. That's right.
Okay.
And then he came in, hang out on set, and they're like, "Hey, need help?" And he started helping.
Yeah, he just started
That's
helping
awesome.
them out. Yeah.
That's great because by that point he had already done Eaten Alive with the Toby Hooper, the alligator crocodile movie. I think it's actually a crocodile. And I know, and he was it was a damnedest thing. He played a trucker's sidekick in this sort of I think it was called the Great Smoky Roadblock, and the trucker was Henry Fonda.
No shit.
So
Wow.
So Robert Englund is like Henry Fonda's sidekick, and he meets him during the movie. It hasn't been the whole time, but yeah. So I remember seeing Robert Englund in that one. So he was around. I think it was Eaten Alive, though, is what inspired the line from Kill Bill. What was it? Buck. My name is Buck.
Oh,
And I like the fuck. Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah, that was Robert Englund says that exact line in Eaten Alive because his name was Buck.
No shit.
Yeah, he says that exact line in that
I don't
movie.
know that I'm sure I've seen that at some point.
It's funny because it has Marilyn Burns in it. It has William Finley, who's in all of was it De Palma's films.
Mm-hmm.
And it's an interesting movie. It's the killer crocodile. It's what I like about it is that it could be set in the town, and it's in Texas. It could be the town right next door to where the Texas Chainsaw Massacre took place.
What was it? Harlow? Was that the name of the town?
Harlow.
That was it might have been, but you get the feeling it's the same community, that these people all know each other. And I'm why can't I not remember the name of the actor who played the main guy, like the crazy guy who ran the hotel, who was awesome in it. I gotta look it up now because it's going to drive me crazy.
Hey, that's how we are.
Neville Brand.
Oh, okay.
who was an old time actor. I mean, I know he was in Tora Tora Tora. He was in a lot of older movies.
Mm-hmm.
And he plays the guy who's and Carolyn Jones from the Addams Family plays a madam at a brothel.
Oh God,
in this movie.
Yeah,
I need to check that out.
Yeah, I knew you would say it now.
Yeah. I think you'd like it. I think you.
I'll tell you what. One of my,
I'm sure I've probably seen it, and it wasn't. And I keep thinking about this. I think if I remember right, Robert Englund was in that V series, wasn't he?
Yes, he was.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. I was thinking I remembered him being in that.
One of my favorite. Go ahead.
I was addicted to that when I was a kid. I loved V. It scared the hell out of me.
Yeah.
One of my favorite characters, I guess, or roles that Robert Englund played besides Kruger, was in and it wasn't a big role. We talked about it before, but it was an Urban Legend. He played the professor.
Dude.
And they killed it with that.
Yes. Yeah, that was perfect. Have you seen that? Urban
Legend?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
and remember, dude, I don't remember what it was, but there was a book laying on his desk, and whenever we were watching that, I was like, "Oh my God!"
Yeah. And then whenever
I can't remember.
Whenever he opened up, when we were in his office, what's in there?
In his office, he had a doll of Freddy Krueger hanging on the wall.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
They killed that. That it was really good the way they put him in because he taught about urban legends.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was just wicked.
It's funny. You can't see it because it's up high on the wall, but I got a really cool picture that's got 3 icons on it. And it was during the filming of Wishmaster. It's got Robert Englund, Kane Hodder, and Tony Todd all standing
all
together.
3 of them from it. Yes, that's awesome. That is awesome.
Yeah,
I was going autograph on my wall just up here of Robert Englund. I got an autograph of his as well. I was not there for it. I actually purchased it.
Yeah.
Beside the fact, but still.
And that's how I got this one too. I mean, awesome. It was a screenshot from Wishmaster.
That is great. And that Wishmaster is one of those movies that doesn't, I think, get talked about as much as it should because I like it, especially with Devo. He is so good. Those first 2 movies with him playing that character.
Mm-hmm.
One of my all-time favorite lines, and I have it out on my blog, my 100 favorite quotes. Actually, my number 1 favorite line of all time is, "Look what your brother did to the door. Doesn't he have any pride in his home?"
Oh, yeah.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. But the line from Wishmaster is, I'm sure you remember, is he says, "That which is eternal cannot die, but if it's any consolation, sweet Alex, that hurt like hell."
Yeah.
With like shooting the gun. I remember my kids were going to RCIA, where I grew up Catholic and it's very important to my mother and blah, 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 blah. So we're taking the kids and neither one of them wanted to go. They dragged their feet every time I had to take them there. Every time I had to take them, they dragged their feet. And I had Wishmaster playing. So they're down there dragging their feet and they saw that line and they both cracked up. They saw that scene shoot himself and they were both cracking up.
Yeah, that's you're right. That is a really
man. I have not watched this film in forever, man. Yeah,
as narrator,
and it's and that was cool about that film too. Is Angus Scrimm did the narration in that.
Yeah.
God rest his soul.
Right. Dude. So it's funny because in the 90s, again, it just doesn't have the reputation.
Right.
Now, Candyman was probably my second favorite after Scream from the 90s. I loved the original Candyman. And Tony Todd is a big reason why.
Yes.
Tony Todd is iconic as Candyman.
Oh, Tony Todd is Candyman.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna knock the remake. I really enjoyed it.
No, because it took the mythology in a different way.
Yes,
it didn't replace Tony Todd. It looked at it as this is like that Candyman is more of a hereditary thing than one guy.
Yeah.
See, I like
so what, dude, I gotta throw this out there real quick. So we got invited to do a movie premiere for this new horror film coming out called Night Night. So it was in St. Louis, and so Ryan couldn't make it. So I'm like, all right, well, I'll go up, and So basically, I've got a friend of mine that he's an actor. He does a lot of movies, B grade kind of movies and stuff, and he's the one that turned me onto it and got me tickets for it. And he said, "Yeah, I'll meet you up there. It's going to be at Ronnie's Plaza." Which I grew up there. I used to go to Ronnie's and watch movies like when I was like fucking 10 years old. You know what I mean? So I get up there, and as I walk in, I mean, dude, they've got the whole lobby fucking, I mean, it looks like Hollywood premiere. They've got a fucking red carpet strung out, and all these people are coming up and down. Well, my buddy gets there. Brock is his name. And he gets there, and he was like, oh, no, I'm sorry. He called me on his way there. He said, I'll be there in probably about 15 minutes. He said, I want you to know, though, he said, I don't know who all is going to be there, but Tony Todd is in St. Louis right now.
Oh, wow.
At the premiere of another film, because he was in this movie I was going to watch. And he said he's at a premiere for another film in St. Louis. And I'm like, oh, my God, if fucking Tony Todd walks in this place, I'm just going to shit my pants.
I would I would love to meet.
Unfortunately, he didn't come over there. But dude, I was so like, oh my God.
He's one of the ones. I mean, he's got that voice, that voice that just makes him perfect.
Everything he does, man.
And I didn't realize it, but I had seen him. I didn't realize till after Candyman, but I had seen him in something before. He played Worf's brother in The Next Generation.
Yeah,
the Klingon.
Okay.
He was in the Klingon. He played the brother. And now when you hear him in Candyman, you're like, yes.
Yeah,
that's the voice. Yep. That is the exact voice from that Next Generation.
Yeah. See, so I really loved him in Hatchet too.
Yeah,
yes. So and even in Final Destination.
Yeah,
So what year did Candyman come out?
I think 93, or I think it was 93.
Oh yeah, possibly.
Let me check it out. The original Candyman. Let me just look it up because I think it was from 93. I know it was. 92.
Okay, and then Scream came out in 97, right?
96.
96.
Yeah, so it was like 4 years before.
See, and it's weird because I was just thinking about it. I'm like, the way those movies are filmed, it's almost like Candyman was an 80s movie.
Yeah.
And it does have that vibe to it, yeah.
And then Scream is more of almost a 2000s movie.
Yeah.
Right. With just that 4 years difference. Well, Scream's the one that revolutionized. I mean, after Scream, every movie wanted to be Scream. I mean, even Urban Legend to a point wanted to be Scream, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. They all wanted to be Scream.
And we've said this a million times. Scream is just so underrated.
Yeah.
And to me, see, I got a man cave at my house, and I'm getting a mural painted, and it's called Mount Slashmore.
Okay, nice.
So it's gonna be I got a friend that's doing it. And it's gonna be the mountains, but it's gonna have. So I've got for me I've got of course Robert Englund Krueger, Michael Myers of course.
Yep.
And then Jason, and then I have Ghostface. Yeah. And my buddy's like, "You don't want Leatherface?" I'm like, "No, I want Ghostface."
See, I'm with you. Even though I love the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I don't put Leatherface necessarily in with all of the other slashers. He goes with the masked killer. Yeah, absolutely. Right. He's the masked killer. But he's not. Let's be in the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre, his victims came to him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every single one walked into his house until the end when he realized what he had to do. And there's that great scene in the original where after the third guy goes in there, Jerry, where he's looking out the window. He's like, where are all these kids coming from? And it was Gilman Joe who actually pointed this out to me. It was Leatherface. He's not used to being in control. He's not used to being in charge.
Yeah.
In the pecking order in that house, when you have Grandpa, the cook, the hitchhiker, he's fourth. That's why he's wearing the apron and the wig.
Yeah.
He's just there to serve, basically, is what it is. He's not used to taking charge.
Yeah.
So I don't look at him as that type of character. He's more of a tragic character in a lot of ways than he is just a straight up slasher killer.
Yeah. And for me, I really think that Ghostface doesn't get the credit he deserves.
Yeah, I agree. I would put him. He belongs. I think he's the fourth one. He makes the most sense.
And
but there's different ones. That's why, because it's not always the same one.
Yeah, right, well, and it's kind of like you said with the Candyman thing a little bit, Hereditary.
Yes,
it's Hereditary, but it's more
people.
like it's going to be different. But it's Ghostface, and that face is iconic. And I think that Scream really, I think everyone before it came out was going to be like, This might be good. It might not. And then when they see it, they're like,
and then you
shit.
saw Rose McGowan's nipple sticking through the shirt. And like, that's it.
Yeah, it was just amazing.
But yeah, and then I was like, you know what? I think this.
Mr. Ghostface.
Yeah. But yeah, I said no. I definitely want. I think
that's a good choice.
So,
yeah, because you're right. It's regardless of who's behind it, it's the mask,
and it pays. It pays homage to horror.
And that, for me, it was the mystery of it too. Trying to figure out who done it.
Who was it? Yeah, there was a mystery element to it.
Yeah.
And that whole, they keep, you're looking so many different directions. Oh, it's got to be him. Oh no, it's her. It's fucking Stu's mom or Billy Loomis's mom.
You've got, and in that movie, think about that first movie. You have Neve Campbell. Her character is this tragic. She lost her mother. Sydney lost her mother, and it's like this tragic story. But she lost her mother, who was the town whore.
Yeah.
Like she finds out her mother was sleeping around with everybody.
Right.
And really, everybody lost something that night,
including Cotton Weary.
Yes, Cotton.
And that all comes around.
I'm telling you, it's so just that she's like even more tragic than any of the other sort of what you'd say, quote unquote, final girls in any movie.
Yeah.
Just because of what because she becomes a victim through no fault of her own.
Yep.
It's funny though. Can you consider Neve Campbell a scream queen, even though she was in the movie Scream?
I don't know. She seems a little stronger. A stronger character. Although I will say, one of my favorite scenes in the first one is when she's on the phone saying, they're just stupid, big-breasted girls who should run upstairs when they should be running out the front door.
Yeah.
And 3 minutes later, she's running upstairs.
Yeah.
I know Ghostface. I thought that was awesome.
I like when she's standing on the porch and she's like, what am I doing now? Puts her finger up her
Yeah,
that's but yeah, I don't think that Scream gets the
No, I agree. I think that's a great one. If you're going to pick a fourth one, I think Ghostface is definitely the way to go.
Yeah,
I agree with that.
And it's just an excellent. It looks really good too. I mean, it's going to look really awesome when it's done. Yeah. I'll put pictures up. But of course, Michael Myers is going to be dead center.
Mm.
Yeah. He has to be.
Yeah, it's
he's the key. He's the one who started. I mean, a lot of people look at it. Black Christmas from '74, I want to say, started a lot of the tropes that you could get an idea. Maybe Carpenter had seen it and he borrowed some things, the POV shots, and just all of that. But, and I put this in my review, Black Christmas is not the start of slashers because it didn't have the box office.
Yeah,
Halloween was a mega hit.
Yeah,
and the way Carpenter did it, it was simplistic. And it's funny, you were saying how the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre is like gory. You think it's gory, but it's not.
Yeah.
There's really no blood at all in the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, but you think what you're seeing, and that's part of the magic of that one. The same with Halloween.
Yep.
Yeah.
But what really gets me with Halloween is the suspense.
Yes.
You do not know where Michael Myers is. Even when he shows up and kills someone, you breathe a slight sigh of relief. At least now I know where he is.
Yeah.
Because he can be lurking anywhere. And that's the first time you got that in a movie like that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, like for me, I talk to some people now, and I don't know if maybe they're just not real horror fans, if they're more just like have opinions on shit. Because I talk to people and they're like, oh, dude, Halloween is not that great of a movie. I'm like, I don't understand.
Apparently you're not watching the right movie.
Yeah. And then I just go, fuck you, and walk off. No, but no, I don't see how you can watch that movie as a horror fan.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know how you can watch that,
appreciate it,
and that movie and be like, what they did with this movie, with the little that they did with the movie.
Yeah.
And how it's just excellent, man.
It was all about suspense.
And the suspense and Carpenter's score is right up there, I think, with Psycho and Jaws as the most iconic scores.
I think it's over.
Yeah.
I think it's over Psycho. And Jaws.
And it's funny. People always have that. And I think we had this conversation when you were on the last time about slashers and different stuff. You've got movies from the '60s. What was that? Peeping Tom. Could possibly be considered the first slasher.
The proto slashers.
Proto. That's a good way to put that.
The two. That's what that was on our HMP. We talked about both of them. We talked about how Psycho is the one a lot of people look at. And you think of the scenes in Psycho as a proto slasher, and it definitely is. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And I brought this up on the HMP where we covered Peeping Tom recently. Peeping Tom, though, there's a difference between the two movies. In Psycho, you like Norman Bates.
Yes.
Because all the way up to till you find out what he is.
Yeah.
Okay? Because he's a likable guy. All right? We don't know. We find out things at the end of that movie that we don't know at the beginning. In Peeping Tom, you like the character and you know exactly what he is in the first 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know exactly that he is the one killing. And yet, you like him anyway.
Yeah.
You're rooting for this guy. You know he's sick. You know he's twisted. You know he is a murderer. You know he's going to kill and kill and kill throughout the film, yet you like him and you're rooting for him. That makes him more of a precursor, if you will, of the slashers.
Yeah.
Anti-hero.
Because a lot of times, as the slashers would go on, you're connecting more to the killer because the characters are always different. The victims are always different. I'm not saying you don't like the characters. I'm not saying everybody, when you want to go in and see every one of them killed, but they're different. The one character the same in all the movies is the killer. He's the one you're connecting to, and he's the reason people are going to see what he's going to do in these movies. That makes that more of an of a precursor to the slashers, because in Peeping Tom, you're rooting for a guy who you know is a killer and is going to kill throughout the whole movie, yet you want to somehow see him be okay and get away with it in the end.
Yes.
See, and that's why I hate the new. That's what I didn't like about New Scream: How to Kill Dewey. I love Dewey.
Yeah, Dewey. Well, that was hard. That was heartbreaking. That was heartbreaking.
I knew going into that one of the main characters was gonna.
Why couldn't have been Courtney Cox's stupid ass?
Well, man, let me tell you something though. Courtney Cox.
Because I want to stick my finger in Gail Weathers' butt.
Not me. Not anymore. I see her turn around and her fucking. She looks completely different.
She does look different. I mean, I remember. First time I ever saw her was in that Bruce Springsteen video, "Dancing in the Dark."
Oh yeah.
I go way back with her with that, but I don't even know who the hell she was.
Right.
But one of the things I liked that with the death of Dewey, it had probably one of my favorite lines in the new Scream, because all of this stuff, everything happens because of these stab movies, which are like basically like Stab is in this world. It's Scream, and they're making these movies.
Yes.
And Gail Weathers was the one who wrote the first book, so you could kind of look at her as a reason all these other ones are happening after the fact.
Kill her
Sidney, But the line at the end. No, fuck them. These two can die in obscurity.
Yes.
Yeah.
But she's stopping it. She's like, no, this is it. I understand what I did here. It's over. I'm not doing it anymore. I thought that was a great line at the end of that movie. I did. Yeah. I thought I was like, wow, that is the exclamation point on Scream right there.
Yeah. It just blew my
stopping of the cycle.
It just blew my mind how different she looks.
No, she looks very different. Yes.
I mean, Dewey looks.
Whereas Neve Campbell.
Yeah, she's.
Yeah, still absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, absolutely.
But see, that's my point. Like, she turned around. It's so funny because they make it kind of a big deal. Like, it's showing the back of Gail's head, and she turns around, and I'm just like, I'm sitting there with my wife. We're sitting there watching it. She turned around. And I'm like, oh.
Definitely not the same.
Well, she is almost 60 years old.
Yeah, but dude, she's got the Joker smile. Her mouth goes from here.
I think there was definitely some plastic surgery there. And it's a shame.
Think about worst plastic surgery was Mickey Rourke.
Yes.
Think about it like this though. All right, just remember, you got Courtney Cox. Look how she looks.
Mm-hmm.
Look at Jennifer Aniston.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. But I'm going to tell you right now, Courtney Cox, I don't really care what her face looks like while I've got her bent over.
Hey. But no, it was really, it was distracting.
Yeah.
It was distracting too.
It was a bit. I'm going to agree with you. I think it was a little distracting. I thought the same thing.
I literally,
you know what? Always a very attractive, very pretty.
Yes.
Unfortunately,
yeah.
I'll agree. I think Mickey Rourke might be
the worst,
one of the worst. But Mickey Rourke, he became a boxer, and he was getting his face bashed in.
Yes,
so he kind of needed to do something, you know.
But yeah,
you watch Mickey Rourke in Angel Heart, and then see Mickey Rourke in Sin City, and you don't know they're the same person.
Yeah. One of my favorite movies of all time, Harley Davidson and the Marlboro Man.
Yeah, that was back in the old Mickey Rourke.
Yes,
Angel Heart. I mean, God, you're right. You compare him with Angel Heart and Sin City, it's like
it's two different people.
It's not even the same dude.
And it's funny because he's always. I think it was almost like he had it written into his contract that he just has sex with all the women in all those. Films. I remember way back then listening to Howard Stern, and Howard Stern said Mickey Rourke prepares for a role by building up a sperm count.
Yes. Yeah, buddy. Hey, why not? You know, you got it.
Hell yeah.
But another movie that I don't hear too many people talk about. I know you got to be going soon, so I don't.
No, I'm good. I'm good. I got another hour.
Okay, I just want to make sure that you know.
I'm good as long as you guys are willing to hang out. I'm willing to hang out. No problem.
Yeah. But another movie I think that doesn't get talked about a lot, and so I'm an apocalyptic guy as far as movies. I love Night of the Comet. You know, even I'm a huge zombie fan. You know, so freaking like Night of the Living Dead or Return of the Living Dead, like.
Mm-hmm.
I like all that kind of stuff. But Grindhouse.
Grindhouse is amazing.
Planet Terror.
I loved both the movies. To be honest with you, I loved both the movies, and I got to see Grindhouse in the theater. It did not do well, but it's one of my favorite movie-going experiences, and it's the trailers. It's everything that made up the Grindhouse experience. I got to go see it, you know, and it was very much sort of a passion project for Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino. Because they love those movies. Yeah. And, you know, and it's so funny because, Planet Terror is amazing. It's just a fun,
it's
crazy movie. And I loved how they brought in that whole sort of Grindhouse feel with Missing Reel. And it comes back and all hell's broken loose.
No
idea what happened.
Yeah, and how they did the scratchy film and stuff.
Yeah, they did all that.
I love the way they filmed those.
And the way they came out, dun, 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 you know, the way they opened it up and they did in the old. It's awesome. I love that. I love the trailers. One of the things, did you see Machete when it came out?
Yes.
Absolutely.
They took that trailer from Grindhouse. Somehow, they got every scene from that trailer in the movie. 6 years later, they got every scene from that movie in the trailer in that movie.
Yeah,
which I thought was really cool. But with Tarantino's Death Proof, it's really cool because you got that first half with Jungle Julia. That's like an exploitation film. You know, there's a scene where she's looking at her phone and the music's playing, and all of a sudden the music, it just stops. Like it just stops on a dime. Yeah. You get that in those movies. The second half is a Tarantino movie.
Yeah.
When it gets to when they're trying to get the car from oh God, what the hell was that? It's one of my favorite movies. They're trying to get that car that Kowalski drove in
Challenger.
Vanishing Point. Yeah, they're trying to get the car from Vanishing Point. And that's a Tarantino movie. With the
when
dialogue,
they throw the chick on the hood.
Everything else. That's Tarantino. It's like you got one part an exploitation, the second part is straight up a Tarantino movie. And I love the fact that they made Stuntman Mike a pussy.
Yeah.
At the end of that movie, when he gets shot, he's and if you go back and watch the crash with Jungle Julie at the beginning, you hear almost like a little bit of a Wilhelm scream coming from Stuntman Mike. I never picked up on it before, but after I saw how much they made him such a wimp at the end, you hear him sort of being a little bit of a wimp, even in that crash as his car is in the air.
Yeah.
And that the girl who's on the hood when they're flying down the road.
Zoe Bell, yes. Yeah.
She's actually a real stunt one. That's her.
Yes.
Yeah. And
She was a stunt person on Kill Bill. That's how Tarantino met her. She actually was a stunt person on Kill Bill. Yeah.
She's fucking awesome. She was on a podcast. I was listening to a podcast. This has probably been months ago, but she was on one of the podcasts I listened to, and she was talking about everything. I'm like, holy shit, that was awesome.
Yeah.
She did all that shit. And like,
my favorite scene in both of those movies was that fucking dance scene with Butterfly.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was
Christ.
And you know what? That was the missing reel in Grindhouse. They missed that lap dance. That was what they dropped from Grindhouse.
Yeah.
That only was in the Death Proof when they released them as separate on like Blu-ray and everything. That was on that one. I'm glad they put it back in because I'm with you. That was hot. And that was to oh God, what was the I can't remember the name of the song. It was an older song too. And every time I hear that song, that's what I think.
He's like,
oh, yeah. Absolutely.
But
Death Proof was my favorite out of those two.
I like them both.
I like them both.
I like them both, but I think Death Proof was for me. It just had that perfect blend of like Grindhouse and Tarantino, and I think it's one of his.
And Kurt
Russell was great. I think it's really funny because I remember watching like the filming of that, like behind the scenes. Eli Roth plays one of the boyfriends in the sit at the bar, and he's insulting. He's throwing insults, and he's just ad-libbing insults at Stuntman Mike. And finally, when he yells "cut," like Kurt Russell like throws nachos at Eli Roth, sort of playfully. And Eli Roth's like, "I'm sorry, I swear, Kurt, I love Escape from New York. I love you. I'm sorry."
See, that's another thing. Kurt Russell is one of my favorite actors, period, ever.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love Kurt Russell.
Let me tell you, I grew up with him as a Disney star.
Yeah.
In like what was that? Computer Wore Tennis Shoes. I think he was in that one. And oh God, that awful Super Dad movie. What a piece of shit that. But all these movies, I grew up with him as a Disney star. And then I saw him before he even did Escape from New York. Carpenter did a TV miniseries on Elvis where Kurt Russell played Elvis Presley.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing that on TV, saying, "Oh, that's the guy from the Disney movies." Escape from New York was like a freaking it was a culture shock.
Yeah,
seeing Kurt Russell in Escape from New York.
Yeah, being the badass.
But the minute he did that, and I saw it, and I loved Escape from New York. Now he could never be anything but a badass in any movie ever again. The Disney stuff was dead.
Right.
Now that's who he was, and then when he's in The Thing. And Big Trouble in Little China, which I think doesn't get
I just quoted that on the drive. Yeah. I was driving over here.
All of the movies he's done since then, he's just, you're right. He's like the perfect badass. Yeah. I'm even a fan of Executive Decision. You guys, the Executive Decision with Steven Seagal?
Yes.
You ever see that one?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I like that one, and I love how it's not even really a Steven Seagal movie.
Exactly.
You know, he's like one of the top stars, but he's not there for very long. It's more of a Kurt Russell movie.
I love Kurt Russell, dude.
I do too. I think he's great, and but it was definitely Escape from New York that for me
Tango and Cash.
Tango and Cash, yeah.
Yeah.
You were talking about him playing Elvis. Didn't he do the 3,000 Miles to Graceland?
I think he did. Yeah. Oh yeah. He does a damn good Elvis.
He does.
I remember in that miniseries, and that was like 2 years after Elvis died. It's so funny. I never heard the name Elvis Presley till the day he died.
Wow. Oh, really? See,
I was 7 years old. I was 7. My parents were too. They never talked about it. This is in the days before cassette tapes and they had albums, but I never went into their albums.
Want to hear a cool story real quick?
Yeah.
Just a quick one about Elvis.
Yeah.
My wife, her, I guess, great aunt dated Elvis.
Oh, really?
Yes.
That's crazy.
They lived down there. Her sisters used to flatten her sisters. So my wife's grandma and her other sisters used to flatten his tires and shit every time he'd show up at the house and stuff.
I'll tell you what, if she must have been 11 years old at the time. Elvis liked them young.
Yeah, no shit. Didn't they all?
I'm telling you, I saw an article. With Elvis. It was a girl who said she went to the prom with Elvis. It was Elvis's senior prom. She was either in 8th grade or a freshman.
Wow.
And she remembers making out with Elvis. They didn't do anything beyond that. But Elvis liked them young. And that's why I always say to everybody, when they say Elvis faked his own death, All right. This is a man who had a certain level of, he had a certain amount of ego. Is Elvis going to let himself die taking a shit?
No.
Is he going to die having a heart attack on the toilet?
Exactly.
No.
No, he's going to put himself in bed with a couple 14-year-olds. That's what he's going to do.
So it's so funny that we got into this Elvis kick. One of the guys I work with, I swear to God, today comes walking in and he's like, "Hey, Gerald, you ever seen this movie?" And he holds up this movie, fucking Bubba Hotep.
Oh, Bubba Hotep's awesome.
I'm like, "Oh my God, yes!"
I love what they
Is
do
it
with
any
that.
good? I'm
Yeah.
like, "Dude, that movie's awesome."
I love what they did. Bubba Hotep was amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bubba Hotep was great because Bruce Campbell does a great Elvis too.
Oh,
It's Bruce Campbell.
Exactly. I love it. What does he say? I can't even remember the line. Something like, "Oh, I was the king of rock and roll, and now I'm just an old guy with a growth on his pecker," or whatever it was, And Ossie Davis as JFK.
Yes. Yeah, and it was funny because he had the fucking hole in the back of his head.
Yeah.
I tell you what. Bruce Campbell, one of my favorite movies of his is I Am Bruce Campbell.
Yeah. I Am Bruce.
I Am Bruce.
They call him My Name is Bruce. Yeah.
Dude, I freaking love that fucking movie.
I do too.
So speaking of Bruce Campbell, have you seen the Black Friday movie?
No, I have not seen that yet.
It was entertaining.
Yeah,
it was entertaining. And it was so funny because he's the manager of a fucking department store. So the whole time, he's a manager of a place like Walmart or something. So the whole time I keep thinking, shop smart, shop S-Smart.
Right. That's what you think of with Bruce Campbell. No doubt.
Absolutely.
And I loved the everything. I mean, everything with Evil Dead, even Ash versus Evil Dead, that series was amazing.
Oh, dude, I love that series.
I thought it was great. I wish they would have done another season of it. To be honest with you. I thought it was great.
I think the fucking remake is possibly the best remake that was ever made.
Oh,
and you know what? It definitely is in the conversation.
Man.
If other people might prefer one or another or whatever, but it's definitely like in the conversation because that was amazing. It's funny. Some people said, it didn't have like the humor. The first Evil Dead was not comedy.
Nope.
No.
The very first Evil Dead is straight up horror. It's Evil Dead 2.
Yeah, where you start
the comedy
getting into
starts coming in.
Yeah.
The first Evil Dead is a straight up low budget horror film.
That movie scared the shit out of me when I was young.
It scared me too. Oh, it scared the hell out of me too.
That's one of the first, aside from Phantasm, that's one of the first horror movies I watched. And that's one of the ones that really scared me as a kid because my buddy, I remember telling me, he's like, "Dude, you ever?" And he was scared of movies. He was scared of that shit. He was really religious, and he was like, "I don't like that." You know?
Yeah.
But he was like, "Have you ever seen Evil Dead?" I'm like, "No, Evil Dead sounds cool." He's like, "We'll watch it tonight." So I stayed at his house, and we watched it, dude. And I was like, "Holy shit, dude!" Yeah. That part where she's up underneath the thing. Yeah, that's the one thing that I had a kind of a little bit of something about the remake I didn't like. They did not give her enough time. The face makeup, face makeup on that girl when she's underneath there. Yeah. They could have gave her even in the background with her just looking. Yeah. Dude, that would have been terrifying.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. That's my one complaint is that they didn't give her enough time underneath there.
I don't know that I really have any complaints.
That was it.
No, I loved it. As far as remakes go, as I said, I love the Hills Have Eyes remake. I thought that was really good. I'm even a fan. The original Dawn of the Dead is one of my top 10 movies of all time. All time. It's my second all-time favorite. But the 2004 Dawn of the Dead,
great.
I loved it. I thought it was great.
Well, and that's when the first time we found out that fucking zombies can run.
I gotta pee. I'll be right back.
Dude scared the shit out of me.
I agree. It scared me too. I mean, I remember seeing that. I think it was opening weekend. I remember seeing Dawn of the Dead. That whole opening sequence. It's probably one of the great pre-title sequences, I think, that I've had. One of my all-time favorite pre-title sequences. That whole scene of was a Sarah Polly coming home and with her husband, and then a little girl walks in, and then he turns, and she ends up going down the road. They get that wide shot. You see the crash going into the gas. It's an amazing pre-title sequence. It's one of my probably top 5. I put Goodfellas up there. I put Magnolia's pre-title sequence up there. Dawn of the Dead is right in that conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And It's funny. I'm going to throw this out there. It's not really horror, but it kind of is. Okay. One of my favorite remakes of all time was Cape Fear.
Oh, yeah, with the Scorsese. Well, that's Scorsese.
Yeah,
that's absolutely. Scorsese. The only thing about it that, and when I first saw it, I thought he's putting a little too much style in. It's a little too stylish. It's taken away. But since then, I've grown. I'm like, this is amazing because Robert De Niro is part of what sells it.
Absolutely.
Robert De Niro is.
I mean, look at that cast. You got De Niro. You got Nick Nolte, Jessica Lange, Juliette Lewis. Just a fucking awesome movie.
It's an amazing.
And it's funny because I never sat through the original Cape Fear until after I saw that one.
Yeah.
And then I was like, oh my God, I really need to sit through that movie, you know? And the original is a great movie. I mean, Robert Mitchum. Oh my God.
It's great. Now, I want to say that was directed. The original Cape Fear. I want to say it was directed by J. Lee Thompson. I want to say I think it was. I just want to look that up to make sure because J. Lee Thompson. He went on to make a lot of movies with like Charles Bronson. He did a lot of Charles Bronson movies in the 80s.
Did he do the Death Wish stuff?
I don't know. I don't know if he did. I know he was working with him even in the 70s. I don't know. Let me see if he did. Let me see if he did Death Wish. He might have. He might have. J. Lee Thompson might have directed Death Wish. No, Michael Winner directed the original Death Wish. He might have directed maybe some of the sequels.
Right.
But one thing that J. Lee Thompson directed, he did Happy Birthday to Me.
Oh, shit, that's a cool movie
from the 80s.
Yeah.
So the same guy who did Cape Fear did Happy Birthday to Me. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah. It's So, what did you think? What did you think about the new Resident Evil?
You know what? I still haven't seen it. I have not seen it yet.
We'll have to hold off on that.
Resident Evil is one of those series, though, that got better. Like the first movie was what it was, and each successive movie got a little better.
I love them.
Here's what's weird for me with that whole thing is I'm a huge gamer. I've been a gamer ever since I was a kid. So to me, when I think of Resident Evil, I think of the games, you know, from the early 90s, you know, on PlayStation and, you know, playing through those early games. So when they first started talking about they're going to do a Resident Evil movie, I thought, oh my God, it's going to be badass. It was a badass movie. I love the first Resident Evil movie, but it wasn't the game. It wasn't what I was looking for.
It didn't blow me away either the first time I saw it. And I'm not a gamer, but it didn't blow me away the first time I saw it as much as some of the later films.
Yeah.
Every single one I thought got better.
This new one is completely different. This new one is directly
game related.
Yeah, based off the games.
Nice.
And it's good though. I liked it.
So the Resident Evil games were what everybody loved about them was that whole creepiness of, you know, you end up in a mansion and you're surrounded by zombies and, you know, it was like way ahead of its time, you know, and a lot of gamers really dug that because you were truly for the first time you were playing a horror movie. You know, nice. And that's why I was kind of disappointed now I love Mila Jovovich.
Yeah.
But I was kind of disappointed with those because there were some aspects of the game in there, but not the game.
Yeah.
You know, that I really wanted to see.
See, and I just love horror movies.
Welcome to Raccoon City is like exactly what I wanted out of Resident Evil.
Yeah. See, cool. I love zombie flicks. So I love zombie movies and stuff. So
yeah, I'm there with you. I do too.
But I know it's getting late over there, buddy. I know you got work.
Yeah, I did have one. I did one thing, and I did want to bring this up. It's just because I found it out today.
Oh yeah.
All right. I mentioned this. So I was just started reading articles. I was starting to think about it, like horror movies that you watch every year. Okay. What are the horror movies that you make sure you watch once every year? And I'm not just talking Halloween. I mean, and for me, I watch Alien. I make sure I watch Alien once a year. The Fog, John Carpenter's The Fog. As much as I like a lot of John Carpenter movies, The Fog I thought was really amazing. And it just gets better every time I see it.
Yeah,
Adrian Barbeau is the sexiest DJ I've ever heard.
Absolutely. The Stevie Wayne scenes are what make The Fog. That in the opening with John Houseman, which wasn't even supposed to be in the movie. They filmed that like months later.
And old Hal Holbrook playing the fucking priest.
Playing the priest, yes. The Fog, as many as there are great Carpenter movies, The Fog's one of his most underrated. You wouldn't think from a Carpenter movie between 72 and the late 80s would be underrated, but it kind of is. I try to watch Poltergeist once a year just because I go way back with that movie. I saw it on the big screen in 82.
Yeah.
When it first came out. I didn't even know what it was. Yeah. My friends and I went to see it because that's Spielberg's name, and Raiders of the Lost Ark came out the year before.
Yep.
So we wanted to see Poltergeist. It was only after that opening scene with the TV where we go, I think this might be a horror movie.
Yeah.
We didn't know what the hell a Poltergeist was.
You didn't know what a Poltergeist was?
No, I was like 12 years old or something. I don't know what the hell a Poltergeist was. But the one movie that I always watch when it starts to get close to summer is Jaws. It's just a tradition. I got to watch Jaws every year as the summer approaches. I saw an article today, and it started with this one article where it was Richard Dreyfuss talking about how he actually did not. The big talk was that Richard Dreyfuss and Robert Shaw hated each other on the set of Jaws. They never got along. Richard Dreyfuss says it is absolutely not true. Him and Robert Shaw got along. They had one day where they had this sort of tense. They had this tense situation, and Dreyfuss says it was a lot of it was his fault because Shaw was a big alcoholic, big time alcoholic, and he was walking down the dock. They were filming on the ocean, which Spielberg said was he thought it would be realistic. He said he'd never do it again. It was stupid. He should have never filmed on the ocean. But Shaw's walking down this sort of plank, and he's holding a drink, and he's sort of stumbling, and he says, "Richard, can you help me?" to Dreyfuss. And Dreyfuss notices he's an alcoholic, and Dreyfuss says, "Do you really want me to help you?" And Robert Shaw's like, "Well, yes." And he takes his drink and throws it in the ocean.
Oh. I'd be mad as fuck.
And Dreyfuss even kind of said, the drinkers in the crew went, "Ooh," when he did that. But then Shaw, to get back at him, there's a scene with a fire hose on the ship, puts it right in Dreyfuss's face. Full blast in Dreyfuss's face. And Dreyfuss said, "I had no sense of humor back then, so for 2 hours I was majorly pissed off." Yeah. I finally calmed down. But he said that was the only time they had this falling out. Well, that led to this other article, which is fascinating. It was an article that this guy it was an interview he did with Roy Scheider in 2000 about Jaws. It was for the 25th anniversary of Jaws. And he was talking to Roy Scheider about it. It never got published. He said he ended up doing an article, did all these different interviews, and he took like one sentence or something from Roy Scheider. The rest of it never got published. And to read the rest of this interview, he's talking about Jaws. Roy Scheider, he says to him, what was it about those characters? One of the things about Jaws is it's not all about the shark. It's the characters. Yeah. Those are some amazing, well-developed characters.
Oh, yeah.
And Roy Scheider said, he goes, it was a bit fortuitous because the reason we built the characters like that was the damn shark didn't work.
Yeah.
It kept breaking down.
Yeah. Bruce.
So it gave us time. We were filming around it, and we'd have meetings every night with Spielberg what are we going to film? And we would flesh out the characters. We would do all this stuff. And that's the reason you care for the characters as much, because usually in these movies, the characters aren't shit. They don't mean anything.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But because the shark wasn't working, we got a chance to build these characters to what they were. Then it got around to his famous line, "We're going to need a bigger boat." Right? Mm-hmm. What's funny is Roy Scheider goes, "Yeah, that was in the script. That was in the script, but I liked it so much I used it twice more, like right after." And if you remember, he goes, "We need a bigger boat, right?" He goes, "I liked it so much I thought it was so cool." The guy interviewing had talked to Carl Gottlieb, who wrote the screenplay. Carl Gottlieb said Roy Scheider ad-libbed that line.
Wow.
And Roy Scheider's like, maybe I did. It was 25 years. I thought it was in the script. When do you ever get a movie where people are giving other people credit for one of the greatest lines ever in horror movies, Yeah. But then it got to the point of the great scene in that movie where it's Robert Shaw talking about the USS Indianapolis. Just a masterful scene where he's talking about how he was on that ship. And that's a true story. The USS Indianapolis delivered the bomb. It was all undercover. And then they were hit by a torpedo. No help was coming because nobody was in contact with them. And those guys, 900 guys, went into the water in shark-infested waters. Night, day, they were getting pulled under. They were getting together in groups, hoping it would store them up, and they were getting pulled under for 3 days. When they finally pulled the guys out, only a couple hundred were left because sharks had taken the rest of them.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And he tells that story. He tells that story in Jaws. That was not in the original script. That is another thing that came along, I guess, from the delays. John Milius, who's friends with Spielberg, was shocked that Spielberg had never heard the story of the USS Indianapolis. When he's doing a shark movie, he never heard of it. So Spielberg had John Milius write something up. Then he gave it to Carl Gottlieb, who wrote something up. And then all of the actors contributed a little bit. Robert Shaw contributed a little bit. Roy Scheider said his contribution was like a doll's eyes. Roy Scheider said, I came up with that line, black eyes like a doll's eyes. That was his contribution to that speech, which is really cool. He also said that Robert Shaw was drunk off his ass for half of it. It took 2 days to film that, and for at least a day and a half of it or something, he was drunk off his ass.
Wow.
while doing that speech. And he goes, that was always a little bit tense because that's a long monologue to get through when you can't concentrate.
Yeah.
But I was blown away by that. But the fact that you care about those characters, it might not have been the movie it was if the shark worked.
Had worked.
It wouldn't have been broken. You know, it's funny, and I don't know, you may have heard of this or you may not have. There is actually every summer there's a lake where what they do is they have a screen that floats on the water.
Right.
And they put everybody in inner tubes and they put them out in the lake and they play Jaws.
Oh, that's awesome.
So you get to watch Jaws on the big screen while you're floating in
you're looking down at the water every now and again.
Oh, yeah. I don't remember exactly where they do that. But they do it every summer, though.
Oh, that's all. I would love to
I was like, man, that would be fucking cool.
That would be great.
So what are five? What'd you say about five? What are 5 movies you watch horror movies you watch every year?
So for me, it's pretty easy. I watch the number one movie that I watch every year, usually a couple times, is Salem's Lot. Absolutely love that film. Yes, I'll never get tired of it.
Probably the scariest vampire movie ever made.
I would agree.
Because every vampire scares the shit out of you in that movie.
That movie disturbed me so much when I was a kid. And that was a made-for-TV movie.
Yeah.
It was like a mini-series kind of thing.
And Toby Hooper.
Like a 2-part deal. Toby Hooper.
Go back to Toby Hooper again.
The other Toby Hooper again, Poltergeist. I watch that every year.
Absolutely. That's the first movie I ever owned. The first movie, we got a VCR. My father taped Death Trap off of cable. And when I finally got my tape, that same night, the first night we got it, I taped Poltergeist.
Yeah.
And I remember taking that tape out going, I now own Poltergeist. In those days, you couldn't own a movie. There was no such thing as owning a movie. There was no streaming. There was nothing.
You could own one, but they were a small fortune.
Yeah, you have to get a print, and then you need a screen, you need a projector, you need all that. And I didn't have any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So when I remember holding that videotape saying, I own Poltergeist now. I can watch it tomorrow. I can watch it the next day. I can watch it. I could wait 2 weeks and then watch it again. Whenever I want to, I can now watch Poltergeist. And obviously it was because now I own, every time I come across something, I buy it. So it was really a very influential moment for me. But I'm with you, man. Poltergeist is amazing.
That's probably, as a kid, that was one of my favorite movies,
Yeah.
I mean, that and Halloween, of course, Halloween's another one I got to watch every year, but the one that I watch probably a couple times a year is The Legend of Hell House. I just love that movie. Roddy McDowall.
The one with Roddy McDowall. Yeah.
Clive Revel and,
that's a good movie.
Franklin. Oh, Jesus. I actually have a picture of that up here too. Shot from that movie. I love that film.
That's a
great movie. Great movie. Yep. And there's a lot of others. I mean, I've never really been big into comedies and stuff.
Well, I'm talking about just horror. I'm just talking about like horror movies. Since he said 5, I figured we pop off 5.
Yep.
There's a lot, Nightmare on Elm Street was never a really big one for me. I mean, I liked the movie, but it wasn't one of my favorites. I definitely always watch Friday the 13th Part 3. That's probably one of my favorites out of the series.
Mm-hmm.
So mine's, it's kind of obvious, I guess, but most of mine, ones I watch every year, and I usually probably watch all of these probably multiple times a year actually, but Silver Bullet.
Oh wow, yeah, good.
100. Yeah, that's a staple in my house.
Mm-hmm.
The Lost Boys.
Nice.
That movie
made being a vampire cool. It's like one of the ones you watch and you go, I want to be a vampire.
Yeah.
Like
well, even when I watch Dracula, I want to fucking be a vampire.
Yeah, but I watch that movie constantly.
Yep.
Trying to think of any obscure ones. But Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the movie, the original movie with
Christy Swanson.
Christy Swanson. I watch that every year.
Luke Perry and Paul Rubens.
Yeah.
God, there was a bunch of people in that.
And then Phantasm. Yes. Yeah. And what happens with me is, so I watch Phantasm and I'm like, okay, now I'm gonna watch the rest of it. So then I spend the next,
I'll tell you what, I like Phantasm, but I really like Phantasm 2.
Love it.
Yeah. I think Phantasm 2 is amazing.
Yes, man. And so like I love the whole storyline. Phantasm is near and dear to my heart completely. Mm-hmm. So like the storyline is amazing. I love it. And then a fifth one that I watch every year. Ernest Scared Stupid.
Yeah.
I have to watch that every year. I watched it before, during Halloween. Now he said there's a ton of them I watched too, but I just don't mention. But just 5 of them off the top of my head, I know for sure.
The ones that sort of stick out. Yeah.
Another big one that I forgot that I watch all the time: American Werewolf in London.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go.
See, there's a bunch of them in it, but like those ones I know I watch for sure. And it's funny because like I could literally quote that whole movie word for word. Like,
and it's funny. Do you? I do this, and I don't know. Do you guys do this too? Like, so you'll be like, you'll take a movie like, say, American Werewolf in London. You'll be like, all right, this movie's fucking 2 hours and some change long. I got a half an hour. Let me see. I'm going to skip through my favorite scenes.
Yeah.
I mean, do you guys ever do that?
I honestly try not to. I try to make sure I have enough time before I sit down and watch it.
Right.
But yeah, there are times,
it's like, I just want to see that scene.
Yeah. Yeah. And sometimes
I want to see that transformation. I want to see when he talks to Jack in the frickin' theater,
yes.
And,
I love how that guy that's one of the more underrated portions of that movie is that whole thing with Griffin Dunn, how he's slowly decaying. Every time you see him, he's looking worse and worse and worse to the point that it's not even Griffin Dunn anymore. It's just a skeleton.
Right. And that's a crazy thing, too, about Griffin Dunn, from American Werewolf in London, and Dominic Dunn,
his sister,
Poltergeist.
And, that tragedy. I remember when she was killed. It was after we saw the movie, and it was like, oh my God, that was awful. And that started the quote unquote curse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Poltergeist curse. That was like the first, the first tragedy associated with that whole series.
There's a series called Cursed Films. I don't know if you've seen that.
Yes, I saw. I did see them.
Yeah. The Omen. The Omen had a lot of weird shit going on.
Had a lot of strange things with it. Yep. And I know they talked about the Twilight Zone movie, apparently, obviously with who was that? The great actor.
My Dan Aykroyd?
Why am I not? I blank. It's funny. I blank on names. I can tell you everything about him. It's Jennifer Jason Leigh's father, Vic Morrow.
Vic
Morrow. Him and the 2 kids dying on the set of Twilight Zone the movie. I remember when that happened too.
Yeah, during the like village raid.
Yeah, they were doing like a Vietnam
the helicopter scene. Yeah,
the helicopter
doing a Vietnam. Yeah, and the kids were not supposed to be there. They were there at night, and they were supposed to already be home.
Right.
But Lion just kept them there to get the scene done. So
that's horrible, man.
A lot of trouble. I mean, it was like really, really bad.
Yeah, fucking Landis gotten a lot of shit over that too.
Oh, yeah, he should have. Spielberg thought about shutting the movie down. He said, you know what? I'm pulling the plug on it. He almost thought it because he was producing it. He thought it was going to, he said, that's it. We're going to pull the plug on it.
I tell you what. Yeah, that's rough.
How do you come back from that?
Yeah.
Children dying like that. That's my worst nightmare in life.
Yeah.
That's my worst nightmare in life.
And the parents were on the set and saw it.
Oh,
that's the worst part. They were on the set and saw the accident.
Put a bullet in my fucking head.
I'm telling you.
There's no way.
I can't even imagine. I can't even imagine what that must have been like. But then, with Poltergeist, the curse with that one. Now, they go to the second one with the guy who played the preacher. You know, you're all gonna die.
Yeah,
he was creepy.
He was dying.
Creepy fucker.
Oh, he was creepy as hell. He was, and it was a great performance. He knew he was dying before he accepted the role, though.
Right.
He knew he had terminal cancer, so I don't see how you could put that in with the curse.
Right.
You know, and it goes back to the fact part of it was they say the part of the curse was that pool scene in the first Poltergeist. Those are actual bodies. From India.
They're real skeletons. Yeah,
because it was cheaper to get real skeletons than to make them.
Yeah.
What does that tell you?
Yeah. Thanks, Hollywood.
Everybody in Hollywood's got skeletons to get rid of.
Jo Beth Williams didn't even know.
No,
she thought
she had no idea.
Fake. She didn't find out until after the movie wrap.
If I knew, I wouldn't get in the goddamn pool. No way in hell I would get in that pool.
Hell no.
Yeah, but yeah.
So that was part of what they said with the curse. Certainly scared me for clowns. That goddamn clown doll.
Oh yeah,
that movie. Yeah. Now that's one remake I never watched, and I don't want to.
Yeah, you don't. It's horrible.
And it's not like, again, I don't mind remakes, but it actually hurt a little when that one came out because how much that movie meant to me.
Yeah.
Right.
And I wasn't expecting it. I wasn't expecting it to hurt like it did, but it did when the remake came out. And then when I heard it was pure shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, come on. You know what?
Yeah, I went into that thinking, okay, you know, because I love the original so much. Yeah, it was bad. It was a rough watch.
Part of what made the original, and you don't realize it when you're watching it, but part of what made the original is a very female-centric film. The strongest characters in that movie are the women.
Yeah.
In that first Poltergeist, but with Carol Ann, the mother. You know, and Craig D. Nelson's great. He's definitely a good father.
Oh, yeah,
character.
Absolutely.
But it is Jo Beth Williams as the mother. Then Beatrice Straight's character. She's better than the other guys who are with her. The one guy who ends up pulling his face apart. He's like, I can't take it. I'm out.
Yeah.
And then you got the who was it? The small lady who comes in. Yeah, I can't remember what the actress' name is now. Zelda Rubinstein. Yeah, Zelda Rubinstein. She comes in. It's a female-centric movie. And that's where the strength lies. And they changed some of those characters in the remake, I understand, which means they had no clue.
They did.
They had no clue what it was that made that original movie a strong.
And it was funny because you talk about that, and a lot of people don't realize that. But even so, you know, Jo Beth Williams is the one that goes into the closet to find Carol Ann.
Yeah.
And whenever she comes out, it's almost like
they're being born.
Yes.
Again, you know.
They got all that stuff all over them. Yeah. I mean, it's really something.
And I can tell you, man, if something was to happen to my kid like that, you know, as a father, like, I would probably be the same way he was in the movie.
Oh yeah,
you know,
can't go into work,
and that was another cool thing with, you know, that they didn't have to do that, but the way his fucking downward spiral into fucking madness.
That's exactly how, because I would feel like I could.
You could
nothing.
see it in his face, you know. He
like
starting to get ashy, and his eyes were getting all dark.
Because you can't do nothing. It's like you. It's like give me 5 guys to beat the hell out of. Give me someone to shoot. Give me something to go after, and I'll fucking go through hell to do it.
Right. But where can you go when you're stuck in the TV? You don't even know what are you going to do? You know, all you can do is talk through the TV and hope she's going to talk back.
Yeah.
But the scene in that movie that gets you is when Zelda Rubinstein's talking to the calming she's there. These are lost souls, and they need to get to where they want. They see a light, and they're attached themselves to her energy. Now hold on to your seats.
Yeah.
There's something else in there. And you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
She's sort of building up, or as soon as she says that, it's lying to her. It's saying things only a child would understand. And then you're kind of like, oh my God, it just sort of twists right on a dime. You know, that movie really is a perfect combination. And we talked about this on Land of the Creeps when Justin Beam was on. It's a perfect combination of Tobe Hooper and Steven Spielberg.
Yeah.
Tobe Hooper brought that sort of mentality with the bodies and the ripping the face. That was Tobe Hooper. He brought a lot of what was like really scary in that movie. Spielberg built the family. Yeah. It was Spielberg that built that family to the point that you cared about them and you wanted to see them come out. He did it with Close Encounters. He did it with E.T. He builds that unit and makes them real. to the point that these are characters you root for and you want to see come out of it. So that was almost like the perfect marriage of a Tobe Hooper and Steven Spielberg movie.
Yeah, absolutely. Fantastic film.
I think that's a great way to fucking end this.
Yeah.
There you go.
Man, I'm telling you, this is our problem is that we could sit here and
we could talk all night.
Next thing we know.
I know. I always do it too. I always say, well, okay, as long as we're off by this time. But you know what? Then I'll sit here and I won't shut up.
Yeah.
I can't blame anybody. It's my fault.
We can always do this again.
Yeah, I mean, it worked out great. Dave, it's always a pleasure having you on. I mean,
thank you.
You've got so much knowledge stuck in your head that when it starts flowing out,
I got to tell you this: of everything we were talking about tonight, my wife's been pretty much leaving me alone. The one time she came downstairs is when I said Elvis in bed with two 14-year-olds.
Hey,
she was standing here for 3 minutes with her eyes crossed, looking at me, saying, "What the hell are you talking about?"
It's that classic meme. Horror movie when I'm watching it by myself and people get stabbed, and it's like horror movie when my wife walks in, people having sex.
That's me too. I could be watching a movie about Mother Teresa and she's washing the feet of a native woman with her breast hanging out. My wife said, "What are you watching, porn again?"
Yeah.
You know, that's the minute I mean, it got to the point when my kids were younger, if they were walking by and there was a nude scene, they go, "Well, Mom will be walking in any minute."
Yeah.
That's the way it was.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah, we're all waiting for that 15-minute nude scene or sex scene from fucking the Friday the 13th remake.
Jesus, that just keeps going and going and going.
We did. It was fun. It was hilarious when we first started doing this show. Ryan come up with a great idea. He's like, "Dude, let's do a live show on Friday the 13th." And it worked out really cool that year because it was Friday the 13th and there was a full moon that night.
And
awesome.
And it was super nice outside.
Yeah. So what we did is I went over to his house and I took the laptop and the microphones and stuff. And this was like really early on. And we start our show. Well, he brings out his little tablet and we're watching the Friday the 13th remake.
Yeah.
You know, and
on my deck.
And it's cool. You know, we're sitting out on his deck and we're talking and having a good time. And we're talking to people we were doing a Facebook Live thing. And all of a sudden it gets to the point in that movie where there's that sex scene. And all of a sudden, everything just goes quiet.
It's just me and him, like, look like
this. Next thing you know, it's just Ryan and I staring at this fucking tablet for like fucking 10 minutes, you know? And it's like, oh shit, wait. We're doing a live show.
But my guess is nobody noticed because they were probably watching too.
Yeah, it's hilarious.
Until that point.
Oh, yeah. The chick's
that's awesome.
Nipple placement.
Yeah, perfect nipple placement. God, love it.
Oh,
cool.
No, see, we can do this all the time. I love it. This is what's awesome.
Yeah, I try. It's kind of funny. I threw those out before Christmas time. I kind of sent a message out.
Yeah,
I would love to do a show where, like, if we could get you and Nathan and Bill and Greg, you know.
Yep.
Get everybody together and do a show like this.
Just do one big show. I think, and I know it was Matt Rawlings talking about doing a meetup.
I would love to get him
point.
in too.
Yeah, we've been playing. That'd be so great. We
need to get a hold of him and see if he ever wants to be on the show.
Well, we want to get a hold like he was talking about, like a meetup.
He's doing it like a meetup. I got to meet Matt and Jackson. They came up. We went to the Joe Bob Drive-In back in July. And my wife and I were there, so I got to hang out with them on that Saturday for the meetup.
Did you get to touch Darcy's boob?
No, she walked out. My wife was next to me the whole time.
Oh.
But she did, and I talk about actually that on the most recent Land of the Creeks for Linnea Quigley, because Linnea Quigley was there. I didn't even know she was going to be there, but she was there. But Darcy was looking mighty fine.
Oh, yeah.
she came walking out. She was wearing this dress, and it was rough because it was muddy and muggy. It was a hot day, but she was making it a little hotter.
Yeah, see, we definitely are.
She was glistening, I'm sure.
We kind of want to start our own convention.
I heard you talking about that. That would be awesome.
It's in the process. Like I said, I'm slowly but surely trying to get it to where I can put the time and effort I need to. And the thing, so I'm working on it, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be an awesome time. I mean, it's going to be a blast.
Yeah. Absolutely, that'd be great. And if we could have a meetup or something to just all get together. I mean, I might actually get a chance to meet Greg this year.
Yeah, exactly.
I've been podcasting with him since 2010, And I've never met him face to face. I've never met Greg face to face.
Yeah,
that's crazy. But but as far as what I was talking about, I was like just doing a Zoom meeting.
Just
bunch
doing
of us together on Zoom one time.
That would be great. I mean, it probably would be like very difficult. I mean, you'd have everybody trying to talk at the same time.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. I mean, we would have to.
They have a thing that you can do. It's called hand raise.
Yes, and there's have to do that.
Yeah, there's a
everybody
on
just
here
be
that
quiet
says mute
until
all.
Everyone. Yeah, that's how you have to do it.
Yeah. No, I think it'd be cool. Everybody just fucking talking and having a good time.
And that'd be a good time to start discussing about getting. I really want to do a convention where all of us horror and like true crime or whatever, authors, podcasters, all get together.
Yeah. I agree. It'd be awesome. It'd be great.
Him talking about Matt, I need to reach out to him and see if he wants to do a show sometime.
There's a lot of people that,
because he'd probably do it.
Yeah.
Might have to watch our mouths with him, but
Let me tell you some of his stories. I can't tell you. When we get off, I want to tell you one of his stories. I can't tell it on the air because he can't. I don't want to get him in trouble.
Let's end this out real quick.
Right.
Okay,
Dave. As always, a great time to have you on.
Thank you. Yeah, it was a blast. It was a lot of fun.
So, guys, you can find Dave all over the place. Check him out at Land of the Creeps.
Land of the Creeps, horror movie podcast, the Phantom Galaxy. I have my own DVD Infatuation podcast over Considering the Cinema. And, of course, Jay the Dead's new horror movies. Brand new one was just launched, and it's going well so far. So those are the podcasts. Check me out there. Yeah, definitely.
Go check them out, guys. Horror fan, we love you. You guys know that. Thank you for support as always. And more importantly, as always, until next time, keep it creepy.
Give us a keep it creepy.
Keep it creepy.
Yeah. Love you guys.